All right, cheers.
Cheers to episode 206.
206.
Red wine.
Okay, that's all right. I got water.
Just the two of us, red wine.
Just the two of us.
It's just Alex and I. It's kind of weird. Two-man shows are weird. They're not my favorite, I'll be honest. But we should be getting a heroic entrance from Evan at some point. He said 8:45-ish. It's 8:30 Eastern time right now. So we'll see. Start the clock now, but he'll come in. So the order's going to be kind of weird in the show. We're going to do weekly check-ins. We're going to do March Madness overarching thoughts. And then if Evan's not here yet, we're going to go into Michigan because Evan doesn't care about Michigan nearly as much as Michigan State. So then we'll go Michigan State after, which normally it'd be reversed. Michigan State would lead the show. But for those, bear with us. So that's what we're going to do. Be nice to Alex and I. It's just the two of us, like we said. It's April 1st, April Fool's Day. I feel like I know you well enough. You're sick of April Fool's jokes and stuff like that?
Didn't really see any or hear any, so didn't bother me.
Pretty good. I feel like
stupid holiday or whatever you call it. Stupid day.
I think it's one we could just get rid of. I don't think it's necessary. I think no one's original anymore. I didn't even laugh. Like there was an easy one this morning that should have made me laugh. They said that Hunter Dickinson applied for a waiver and he's a 7th-year college basketball player now. That doesn't even make me laugh anymore. That stuff is just people just looking for clicks. So I think we should get rid of April Fool's Day. That's my thought. Maybe I don't have enough fun, but that's what I've been thinking the last few April Fools. All right, let's start off. Alex, what did you do this past weekend? Something big, something fun.
I went on a golf trip, Ryder Cup style, Dallas versus Houston versus Austin. I knew 3 people going in.
Mm-hmm. Out of how many?
12 on each team, so
holy
36,
cow.
36 peeps.
I do have a lot of questions about the logistics of this trip. That's crazy.
So let's just do a quick rundown of each day. Excuse me. Friday morning, left. I drove because I have a truck. I drove 3 other guys, the 3 guys I knew.
Hell yeah.
So went up about 9 a.m., got there to a 3-hour drive or so. Got there about noon. Had lunch, practice round at 2 o'clock.
Golf course for people that are probably wondering.
It's called Pine Dunes Golf Resort. I'll preface this with saying the course and the golf, very nice. The amenities.
Wow. Big chop.
Pro shop, old, dusty. Bar, restaurant, old, dusty. Condos we stayed in were basically like summer camp cabins.
Wow.
Or like another way to describe it would be like a college apartment.
Wow.
But like it's pretty like clear. Like you read the reviews, everybody gives it a 4-star because the golf's nice. The rest is not.
The golf, I did Google it when you said where you were at. It kind of looks like Pinehurst-y. Is that way off?
I mean, yeah, sort of. I don't know. It felt more like just like a northern Michigan golf course. Challenging. Greens were nice. I mean, remember it's March, so I mean the course isn't in its peak condition at this point yet, but I mean it's still in pretty good shape.
What is considered peak condition in Texas? Like month?
That's a great question. May?
Yeah,
I'd guess.
May, month June? From now. May, June, before it gets too hot.
Yeah, but still, of course, just really nice. Very challenging.
There was a guy. I don't know if he's famous. I think he's a well-known YouTuber. His thumbnail. It was like I typed in Pine Dunes on YouTube to get a look at it, and it was like toughest course in Texas was the thumbnail. Okay. I don't know if it checks out.
My handicap's a 7 or 8, give or take. And my handicap at this course, I believe, was a 12. So we're talking 5-shot swing there.
It's getting close to what I play at.
So back to Friday. So practice round with me and my 3 guys that I drove. We're all staying in a condo together. So for reference, there's a futon, a bed with a double, or a room with a double. So like just below a queen, I believe.
Okay.
and then a room with two single beds. So we were like, this is going to be tough for us to decide as grown men who's going to sleep where. I was the youngest. I was with a 30-year-old, 32-year-old, 34-year-old.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, they're just going to stick with this futon. That's how it's going to be probably. They're like, no, let's just play the first 9 of the practice round 4 beds. Like, all right. I'm the lowest handicap. Like, am I giving strokes? No, we're all pretty close. Like, we'll just play straight up. So I start double.
Oh. Futon.
The guy that's the worst golfer. I parred 3. We get to Forest tee box, and this guy, like, nice guy, like, but he looks at me on the 4th tee box and goes, "You're 4 over, right?" And I'm like, "Yes." Like, we're on hole 4. Like, we got a lot of golf to be played. Like, you don't need to be getting in my shit about what my score is. Like, yes, I'm 4 over. And I proceeded to 4th is the hardest hole in the course. It's like a dog leg left. It's like 425 yards. And I hit a 3-wood that bends perfectly around the corner. And I'm like 150 out. I put it on, make par, and he duffed like 8 shots and made like a quad. So then we get to the next hole. Like, obviously he's out of it. I'm out of, like, I was in that like last place zone on the Forest tee box. And by the time we got to 6's tee box, I was in 1st. So the course just did its damage on these dudes. Ended up winning. The one other guy, he was pretty good. I made bogey. I made double on 9 to go to a playoff. So we got to 10. I parred. He tripled.
A playoff for beds.
Yeah. So I win. I got the solo room. The dude who asked me about, are you 4 over? He finished last. He slept on the futon.
Oh, no.
He played so bad that he's like, on hole 12, he's like, I'm never coming back here. Keep in mind, Michigan State's playing Friday night. So like hole 17, like that's why we didn't keep the match going for the whole 18. Cause like I was going to be tuned out by whatever time we started playing, which is around 17. So anyways, won the practice round, got my own room.
It'd be so demoralizing for them. Like, you just kicked their ass, but like your attention was like 90% on a basketball game that was about to start.
Yeah.
You're like, this golf thing is fun, I guess, guys, but we have a basketball game to watch.
So cool thing, condos are right off of 18. So we just like drive the cart off right into the thing. Like, you just leave your stuff on the carts. So I run in basically to this condo. This TV is probably 30 inches max, 25.
Feels like a computer monitor, basically.
Yeah. My computer monitor right here is probably the same size. HD was arguably not HD. Couldn't tell really what it was. This is live satellite direct TV.
Oh, direct TV.
Or
just like a
dish
antenna.
network.
Okay. But you get CBS.
They had CBS. They had channels. No internet in this condo either. Wow. So no Wi-Fi.
Rustic.
Luckily, service was fine. Yeah, like I said, amenities were shit. So I'm watching the game. The one dude's a Michigan fan. He's just making like subtle comments while I'm watching it.
No.
And like, let's keep in mind, folks, this is a Sweet 16 basketball game. So I'm pretty into it.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm pacing around. The game went poorly for us for a long time.
To start, yeah, no doubt.
I'm pacing around. Everybody's outside, like mingling. They're like around on 18. They're having fun, getting all smashed up. I'm just pounding tequila high noons while I watch this game by myself in there. And I'm just pacing back and forth. And then the Colin Carr dunk happens. You know, I don't know exactly what I did, but it was kind of like a flex look down, like just very amped up, like look into the corner, pacing around. And he's like, the shades were not, or the blinds weren't down. So like people could see in.
What a great visual.
Didn't really realize that. Nor did I really care, to be honest. And next thing I know, it's like 6 dudes just walk in. And they're like, God damn, I haven't seen a kid with this much passion about hoops in a long time. And they all just sit down to watch me watch the game.
You're like, they're Rico Bosco in those cave videos.
Correct. They come in and they're like, wow, You haven't seen anybody like this that cares this much. Like it was like I was like a unicorn to them
Because they're all football guys.
I guess in SEC country you just don't care about basketball.
Well, Houston is in the Final Four. I don't know. I guess it depends on where you went to school.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. One of the guys was went to Purdue.
Oh, well, shit. He should understand.
And he's like, yeah, he like knew a bunch about like random. He knew about Paul Davis from like 2005. I was like, all right, so this guy knows ball a little bit. This other guy, his name's Ice. He's a short, bald guy. This guy, Iceman, is a degenerate gambler. Degenerate. Okay. Texas, not legal to bet in, right? I'm already a little annoyed that all these dudes are coming in there and like watching me and kind of like ruining my whole thing there.
Now they have thoughts on how your team's playing, even though they just saw like 0 minutes of the game.
And we're trading buckets back and forth at this point, going up, going down, going up. I'm pacing around, so stressed out. This dude's like, yeah, I got Spartans -3.5. I got the under. And then he tells me like he has like 65 other bets. Yes, he does lose that bet.
He has the 3. Oh my God.
Anything on TV, he would bet on.
He had some action.
This guy's crazy. He's just trying to talk to me about bets while I'm watching this game. And I'm like, hey man, like gambling's not even legal in Texas. Like you gotta stop asking me. I'm trying to watch this basketball game. Game's going. Finally, we get comfortable. Guys start to trickle out because I'm, clapping happy. They're like, all right, this game's over. Iceman, no, he's locked in on the couch, -3.5.
Oh my God. I'm so sad for him.
They're up 6. Everybody knows what happens. The kid hits a little wedgie 3 off the back iron, and he just gets up. He goes, he screams like a girl. Like I said, this guy's like 5'6" bald dude. And he just pulls out a bottle from behind him and just goes, just guzzling like bourbon or something. I'm like, all right, Ice, I'm going to go outside now, mingle with the rest of the guys here. Good luck. And he's like, oh, wait, I need a bet on Michigan and Auburn. I don't know what I told him. But he placed another just ginormous wager on that game. So that was interesting Friday night. Friday night.
That's insane.
Then
terrible
I mingled a bit.
Terrible piece.
Some outdoor chipping with glow balls. Couldn't see anything. I'm colorblind. Hard for me in dark. Night vision. Didn't participate. But anyway, Saturday morning, best ball. I was with some random dude who was like a 4 handicap, supposed to be a lot better than me. Not a lot better, but a little better.
So you had 8 other guys on Team Houston that you didn't know.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
That's cool.
And so I played with one of them.
Was there a captain, like in the Ryder Cup? Was there a captain of your team? And he did do the pairings?
Yep. Correct.
Wow.
So I played with this like 4 handicap. He struggled a bit. His first time playing in this as well. I ended up shooting an 80, which was good for 3rd best among all players net.
Wow.
So they're all right. That's pretty good, I guess. So I played really well. And I didn't play 18, which is like a very drivable, like 2-shot. Like the first time I played 18, I went driver pitching wedge, 2-putt birdie.
Because you won your match before then?
We lost our match on 17, so I didn't play 18. So I easily could have broke 80, but I get an auto par.
You shot 3rd best and your team lost best ball?
Right. Yeah. So the dudes who were playing were just ham and egg in it, They just make pars and birdies and the whole time. And my partner not really on. So if I made a bogey, we'd lose the hole. So yeah, we lost that. Still a good time. Played well. Second 18 of the day was alternate shot with the guy I mentioned on Thursday. Well, I played well again, but alternate shot, if anybody's ever played it, knows that there's a lot of things out of your control.
Oh, so you went 0-2 in matches thus far.
Yep. So just to start out, I drove it like 300 down the middle on hole 1, left him 115, pitching wedge in hand, hooked out of bounds. Hole 2, leave him 65 yards, chunked it 2 feet in front of him. Hole 3, where like we got to take one of your drives because you had to take 6 of their drives total in the whole round. It's a par 3. Puts it like 40 yards left, like on a sprinkler head. I got us up and down from that point. And I'm like, all right, man, come on. Let's big it up here. Nope, didn't really happen. Just couldn't make any putts. There was one hole, par 5. Puts me hitting 4 off of a sand. So the cart path's like sand. So you have to hit off of it. Because it's not really like a cart path, I guess.
That's interesting.
It's like a waste bunker cart path from 136 yards.
Nice.
I dropped this into like 3 feet. And we have a chance to win the hole to take the lead in the match. Leaves it short from 3 feet on a putt. So that after that, I basically gave up. And then the dudes went birdie, 16, 17 to close us out.
There's no handicaps in alternate shot, right?
No, we got a couple strokes. We did, yeah.
Oh, really? Well, I guess you could do that, yeah. But if you, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, I guess you could.
Yeah, we didn't win those holes, so it didn't really matter. And then so I, played well, 0-2, whatever. Saturday night was just a booze fest. Just got absolutely ripped up. Watched hoops. Iceman did his thing. There's these British guys that were like chirping us for being Americans, and then they were chirping, and I wasn't really chirping. I was just watching. I was just listening mainly to all these people go berserk. It's like an adult summer camp where you just see a bunch of dudes in their early 30s, late 20s, just getting absolutely obliterated on a golf course in the middle of nowhere. So that was interesting.
Getting ripped up in like their clubhouse, the dusty clubhouse.
We were in the like restaurant area. People were just throwing it back. Then Sunday morning, rain, unfortunately. So everything got pushed back. So then we had to go from 18-hole matches to 9-hole matches. It was supposed to be just singles.
Yeah.
Somehow I got paired up to face the Dallas captain.
Oh, no.
Got first on the best ball round that morning when I finished third or whatever. He was like net negative 11 or something crazy.
You pulled Scotty Scheffler versus John Rahm, didn't you? You put your name on the map.
So I don't know how I got picked. And that was the final match. And going into it, Houston had a half-point lead over Dallas. Austin was like out of it, dead. Houston's never won this before.
Wow.
Luckily, like by the time I'm on hole like 4, we had already wrapped it up. Like we just went belt to ass in the morning on everybody, and so we had already won. Because, I faced this dude, captain of Dallas, on hole 4, the one I talked about earlier, the super hard par 4. That was like 450 yards.
Yeah.
He went driver off the deck, 2-putt par, 4 for 3. Beat me. I made par. I lose. I'm giving strokes to this dude.
Damn.
He probably shot 37 or 38, and I gave 2 strokes. Somehow got it to hole 9 because on 8 he chunked a shot and went OB, and I made par. Just to go from 2 down to 1 down to then get to play 9. That was the only match that week I got to the last hole.
Wow.
Which is tough. But then he birdied 9, so closed me out. It's what it is, I guess, So I went 0-3, but the team won. And I played pretty well, which is crazy. I went 0-3. Probably the best I've played in months, and nothing came of it.
You're a dark horse next year because they're going to be like, Alex's record's 0-3 in matches, but he kind of played towards the top.
Yeah, and the dude that was bad, that was my alternate shot partner, got to just play someone worse, and he won on Sunday. So I was like, of course.
Sounds like you shouldn't have been giving strokes in your singles match.
No, probably not. This guy probably sandbags quite a bit. But
Dallas captain, got to look into him.
But yeah, we won. And it was a mad sprint drive as fast as I can to get back. I missed the first 15 minutes, but I just recorded it, caught up live.
It's sweaty.
We all know how that game went.
Yeah. We will get to that.
Here we are. Now my parents are going to be here in 2 days, so like no rest. Just keep going.
They get in on Thursday or Friday?
Thursday.
Nice.
Yeah,
long
Thursday.
Weekend, and they go back what? Monday?
Sunday.
Sunday.
I think. I actually don't know. I should probably ask.
You got a whole itinerary planned, or you're going to wing it when they get there?
No.
Say, what do you guys want to do?
We'll
like,
go to
well, they're
dinner
supposed to
or
show us
something.
around, Alex. No, what do you want to do?
They've been here. They'll probably take him to a game.
Get a bottle of unshackled wine for G when he gets down.
I'm sure they'll want to go to Total Wine and More and check out what they got.
Hell yeah. I need to go to that store. It says like a booze person's playground. Toys R Us, basically. All right. Well, that sounds fun. Sounds exciting. Did it feel like there was real tension in the matches? Not like quite like the invite of TGC because you guys all know each other a lot better, but there was definitely some more intensity.
Yeah, people cared. People wanted to win. Like the last pairing, it was like another Houston guy in my group playing against an Austin guy, and this Austin guy he was walking the first 2 holes and then just decided to get in my cart, which was really annoying because this dude would just blast balls OB. We thought, and then he'd get in the middle of the woods, like, oh, I just found it, and it'd be like perfectly clear, like path out, and then he'd like win a hole. And then the Houston dude I was playing with, he was like, he was probably the oldest guy there. He was like 45, 50, just a guy that loves golf. He just comes up to me, he's like, that's cheating, dude. I'm like, I don't know, but like it is crazy. He's found his ball every time.
Yeah.
There's one time where I'm sitting in the car. He's looking for his balls in the woods. I get out. I walk back to the car, and the ball is magically sitting right next to our car. And he's like, oh, there it is. And the guy looks at me like, no way. There's no way. And he looks at the kid. He's like, stop pocket dropping. And he's like, no, I'm not. So it was kind of awkward. And that was on the last hole. And that's great. Like, I got to get out of here.
Cheating. The older I get, the more like cheating in any sport is so scummy.
It's just a waste of time.
It's just like if you're just bad, you're just bad. I
don't
know. It's crazy.
Lose. You just go 0-3 like I did.
Yeah. Take it on the chin.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. For me, I don't have a ton. I did have a dentist appointment. Adulting things.
About time. Yeah, she went.
No, this is my 6th month. I went. I had a 3-year gap last time I went. Now I'm on a regular, every twice a year schedule. I did have one cavity, unfortunately. I am sad to report that I have one cavity and one.
Never had one.
One warning tooth. One that we're watching, like a hawk, but don't eat anything yet.
Never had one.
Did get a new toothbrush. Did get new toothpaste. So we'll see. I think I'm going to be on the track for big things in my teeth for the next 6 months. Let's see. Other thing, I don't know if you saw it. You probably didn't see this tweet. But as someone with a deviated septum who had surgery on it once,
I feel like I might have one. And I
could.
I've been thinking about it lately. I feel like I need to get that checked out.
It's a pretty easy check. Well, I think you would have to have your PCP refer you to a specialist and then they diagnose it. But when I saw the nose doctor, she knew instantly. She's like, yep, that thing's kind of crooked. But after having that surgery, I had that surgery like 2018, like 6 years ago now. So the effects kind of start to go away over time. And they told me that it's like, you might need multiple surgeries. So sometimes I still have problems, but there was this cool device that Jeff D. Lowe from Barstool tweeted out where you put 2 little strips on your nostrils that are magnets. And then the magnet goes. I bought it. I've been using it for about 6 nights now. It does work. It's not invasive. It's easy to sleep in. The only con would be it can be expensive if you keep having to get the refills. But I did see people that I'm going to test out that you can like try to work around that and like cut out the magnets and then like save some of the magnets and then just use like normal hospital tape over them instead of like keeping the patches. But yeah, I think it opens it up a little bit. If your nose is stuffed up, like it's not going to help it that much, but I do think it opens it up enough to probably make some sort of difference. It's kind of tough because Marissa had told me like 2 weeks ago I snort a little bit. So I was like, maybe I am breathing through my mouth at night, which I don't want to do. So I looked into this. She hasn't like heard me do it since, but I don't think she's ever been awake in the middle of the night when I would have been snoring. So I don't really know exactly how it's working. But it feels good on the surface. Speaking of her, she was sick this weekend. We were supposed to go out with some friends on Friday night and watch the Spartan game and then probably come home so I could watch it like a psychopath for the Michigan game. But she came down with some sickness from work. So really just chilled the whole weekend, just kind of vegged out and watched ball, which it was terrible weather here. It was rainy, cold, windy, all three at once. So yeah, that's what we did this weekend. So I saw pretty much everything. So I can help fill in some gaps if you had a blurry weekend of hoops with all the stuff that you had to do.
No, I caught up.
All right. Let's transition to, we'll get Evan, see how his spring break went when he gets back. Oh my God, look at that. You could not have scripted that better. I just said when Evan joins, we'll get his spring break thoughts. But he's also in the middle of eating, so I don't really want
ASMR style. Jesus Christ.
I literally just sat down, Alex. I'm not hearing it.
That Cubs hat is so sick. I forgot you had that. God, that is nice.
It fits so good, too. Like all my other MLB hats, they don't fit as perfect as this one. I don't know what it is, but
that is nice.
It's not bad.
Evan, we just did check-in, so if you want to give a quick rundown as you get settled of how spring break went in Hilton Head.
Looked at my phone, I had 200-some text messages from everybody. What the hell is that?
From today?
Yeah, just from ever since I stopped looking at my phone at like 3:30-ish. Hilton Head was great. Great weather, mid-70s and sunny, slight breeze just about every single day.
Wow.
You wake up and it's cool, so you're wearing like a long sleeve.
Dry fit?
Yeah, practices were great. Productive, got a lot done. Scrimmaged each other, which was pretty good.
Because you can't play other teams, right? Because of the MHSA.
MHSA's dumb. Beach was nice, pretty warm. I overdid it with the sunscreen. I came back and I was not tan at all.
I did that this weekend too. Way too much.
Doing it because last year I got a little sunburnt and I hated myself for it. This year I was just like, I don't care.
Did you use zinc? That's like the killer. If you have zinc in your sunscreen, I think that like makes you white.
Oh, I don't know. I whatever was in the dugout, I just grabbed it and reapplied it all the time. I also wore long sleeve to practice like every single time. So
at least you don't have a farmer's tan.
It doesn't really matter because it was freezing cold today. So like Michigan, it doesn't matter.
My fault.
Yeah, but the beaches were good. Other than that, I mean, good weather. Shout out to the girls. They won a state championship.
Yes.
A couple Saturdays ago. That was fun to be a part of.
Yeah, you were live for both games, right?
I was live. I got a bench pass.
Do not hurt me. Whoa.
Wow.
Dude, they made the coaches wear those, which is crazy.
Yeah. It's like
yeah, I couldn't tell that was the coach.
Yeah. And I just got done with a doubleheader, first games of the year for high school baseball for freshmen.
Wow. April
Alex,
1st.
don't ask me how they went.
I was just going to say how they look. So.
First months do not count. They do not count. You should not be playing baseball in whatever weather there was today in Tecumseh.
We got to get 30 games in 50 days or something like that. Yeah.
The day ends in why Evan's playing games.
Right for the rest of the freaking
True. 15 of those will be canceled or pushed back.
Yeah. Other than that, just been busy, I think. Nothing too special. Unfortunately, watched the Elite Eight game with some good friends on Sunday. And I know there's like severe weather in the area and people have got affected by it.
Yeah. Here it is. Yeah.
But, time and place,
Did they cut away for your game?
Oh, yeah.
They did not cut away in Rochester Hills. Just a lot of beeping that tornadoes was coming.
No, dude, they cut away hard time. They cut away, and then they went back to the game.
My mom said they cut away.
Then they cut away, and they stayed cut away.
Oh, not even screen and screen?
No.
2025.
The blue ball.
Double box.
The blue ball kicking is like the second time they came back. The weatherman was like, I know there's March Madness basketball games on, and then just went on with his weather. Like, you don't have to acknowledge us.
It's crazy. Like, one thing to do it just a regular two random teams in an Elite Eight game, still would be pissed about that. But to have a local team playing in the Elite Eight and do that is insane. Insane.
That hurt a little bit.
But you probably got to miss the 23-0 run or whatever they were.
No, I did. I missed when we cut it back within 5. I missed a Kohler 3. I missed all that.
That's crazy because even if that's recorded locally, you still have that. Like, there's really not a great way to go back and see the parts.
And then I was like, all right, there's got to be ways. Like, we eventually streamed it through like March Madness. Cody, whatever, figured it out. We were on Stream East for a little bit. I figured Paramount Plus should just have the game on there, but they do it through local channels as well now.
Yeah.
But I had a buddy that said that he watched it through Paramount Plus the entire game and it never cut away.
That's wild. I wonder if his home location was different than Tecumseh.
It has to because he lived in town. He lives in Tecumseh.
It's also interesting how like Rochester Hills, since we weren't as severe, apparently they never cut away. They just gave warnings up top. But the graphics stayed on the whole game, like in an annoying spot.
The annoying bottom right or top left or whatever it is.
Yeah. Speaking of disasters of TV streaming, so Alex, I don't know if you have your own YouTube TV, so this is a Grant problem because we share it in our family, but my parents' location is the home base, so Toledo, Ohio. So you basically, it's like I'm always traveling. Like when I sign it says, "Are you traveling?" Say yes. You get 3 months, and then you have to reset it, and you normally reset it by what I've done in the past. If big YouTube TV is listening, please don't get in trouble. But it's already too late. My mom will sign in to my Google account in Toledo, and she'll go into my settings and click update to Toledo and then watch something for like 5 minutes, and that will reset it. So then when I log in on my TV, it's like Grant was just in Toledo. He's good for another 3 months. And it's been fine. I've done that like 3 times. This time it didn't work. I don't know if I waited too long and like hit the deadline. So now everything's like locationed out. I can't watch anything. But there's a weird loophole on YouTube TV where you can still watch multi-view. Like multi-view is not. There's some glitch. I hope they don't patch it. Where like you can click into any multi-view and then you can click on that box and then you're full screen on the game. So that's how I was like.
But you can watch other channels.
No, I can't watch any channels. I can't watch anything.
An idea, Grant.
What? Get your own YouTube TV.
You have a grown man job. You can pay for TV.
I probably will.
Stop mooching off Susie and Larry.
Well, I probably will. But it was more the principle of like, I wonder why this has changed because we've done
That happened to my sister too. She had been mooching off my parents for something like that. I don't know what it was. Or maybe she was mooching off Tyler's parents for YouTube TV. And then one day it just all of a sudden cut out. And she's like, can I use yours? I'm like, no. You pay for your own. Come on.
That's the Garrett and you talking. I got Paramount Plus for the weekend. But that doesn't have TBS, so then I had to do the old multi-view trick for TBS games, and it worked fine. It's just weird how YouTube TV has all these little perks. You decided
to go through all this hassle this weekend instead of just paying for YouTube TV?
I will probably get YouTube TV eventually, but I'm stubborn, so I want to fix this because I know it should work. Like, you should be able to share. No. You should be able to share with a family. It's crazy that YouTube TV wouldn't let you do that. Like have a family.
Well, they probably realize that you're 27, and they're like,
"You don't know anything about me."
You know, this kid's still on his parents. It's like your insurance, dude. You're off. At some point, you got to get off.
It's like it's a back and forth. I have HBO for them, Peacock. They have that. Like we all share the accounts.
Right.
They have more.
They pay $85. You pay $12. Yeah, it's fair.
Well, I have Paramount Plus right now for a little bit. If anyone needs it.
Grow the
It's called being resourceful. I know, I stand by that. TV makes way too much money off of humans.
No, it does.
It's absurd, I won't give in
like,
unless I really
pay for it, unless I want to not watch anything.
Multi-view trick, though.
My parents don't have YouTube TV. They have cable.
Who? DirecTV? Or
Comcast.
No. Comcast Xfinity. Never forget it.
Rico Beard.
Although I thought I almost convinced Garrett to get YouTube TV because the quality is significantly better.
Oh, yeah.
But he's like, I don't think I'll be able to figure out how to use it with the remote.
It's pretty straightforward.
I showed it.
Xfinity.
It's
because they use more pictures. They use logos of the game you want to watch.
It pops up exactly what you want to see all the time.
Yeah. What you click on the most, it's like, Sports
It's always up there.
NFL Network.
Click.
A second. You're like, oh, okay, yeah, nice.
My mom well, what about recording? I was like, you can record everything.
Unlimited library. You don't have to clear your library ever.
Yes.
You could literally record everything. Wow, it's just so convenient. We have the DVR box upstairs. Jesus Christ. Grow up.
Some people still live in like 1999.
Yes.
Yeah.
My parents just got rid of their home phone like last year.
I noticed that the most with directions. You ever get in a car with someone over the age of 40?
My God.
They don't
Great
believe
story.
in GPSs. They don't believe that Waze knows a faster way because of traffic. They have gone the same way to Lansing for 40 years, and God forbid they ever go a different way depending on traffic patterns via your phone. They won't. They won't do it.
I don't plug in. Like, I'm not going to plug in directions to somewhere I go all the time. Grant's going to plug in directions to everywhere he goes. That's psychotic.
I'm never plugging in directions
That's
to Ann Arbor,
psychotic.
East Lansing.
Yes,
I'm barely
correct.
plugging in directions to Detroit now.
I probably plugged in directions to East Lansing the first time I went back to college.
First time I went?
It.
No, first time I went, and like when I was 18 out of high school, I was like, I gotta go visit Alex. After that,
also
no, it's the same drive. every
Been
single
in
time.
the car as my parents drive to my grandparents like 1,000 times. Like, I don't need to put directions in to go to where I've been a million times.
Never tell your
So,
parents
Grant,
you're going
again,
somewhere far.
Grow up a little.
Yeah, they'll have it all printed out. I'll
You'll
wake
have
up
it
with my dad.
printed out, or your parents will ask, well, "Do you know how to get there?" It's like, yes.
The worst is when your parents
I
are
have
like,
a phone to tell me where I'm going.
so which road, which highway are you taking to Florida? I'm
How'd
like,
you get there?
No, Dad, I'll just put it in
On
my
the road.
maps.
You're gonna take 75 south. There's gonna be a 401 turnpike around Cincinnati. You're gonna be a lot of traffic
Dude,
there. And then you're
old
gonna be on
people just give you-
35 south. You're like, okay.
Oh,
My
Alex,
old
how'd you get to
boss.
Baton Rouge from Houston? How was it?
I
What road
just
you
lost
take?
10
Old
minutes
boss
of my
was-
trip.
Trying to tell me how to get to Cleveland. I'm like, dude, I'm gonna plug it in. He's like, well, just when you get to this area, like it's gonna tell you to go this way. But I'm telling you, if you get off and you go through this little town, it's gonna be at least 10 minutes faster, and it'll be less stop and go. You know?
I'll never forget. Never forget. I was in 7th or 8th grade. We're going to St. Louis, family trip / family wedding. My parents decided to get like, what is it called? The TomTom, the GPS, like in car, like you plug it in.
Garmin.
Yeah, basically.
Yes.
They're kind of
at
same
the
thing.
time, I think TomTom was the name of it. Like
Revolutionary.
Tom.
I think it was called
Revolutionary
TomTom.
device.
Yes, and we're driving through St. Louis, and it's telling us to like get off St. Louis and go around because we're going through St. Louis during busy rush hour.
This little video game thing.
My dad thinks he can outsmart GPS. He's like, no, this has no idea where it's going. Like, I'm going straight through downtown St. Louis.
That's good.
We get stuck in traffic, like pushes back like an hour and a half. It's like, if we just went around, like the GPS told us, we'd have been there fine and dandy.
What was the printout map? MapQuest?
MapQuest.
For travel
Yeah.
baseball tournaments.
Hey,
Always
Michelle
have
and
that.
Ryan still do it. Still print it out. Every
So
now and then I'll
Don't.
I swear. Every now and then
No
I'll
way.
stop by. They're going somewhere. Well, he just likes to have the paper one. He
I
don't
wanna
trust
feel
you.
it. I want to feel it.
Like, all right, turn the page. Which one are we at now?
Well, because they also don't know how to like really charge their phones in different situations. Like their charging is like at night when they go to bed. So they're like, I can't
My
have it
dad
on my
doesn't even do
phone
that.
because my phone will die if I do directions off of it.
Why?
Well,
This
how
is
can I
an
play
old
my
person
music
rant.
and do
Yeah.
GPS at the same time?
Yeah. My dad's such a psychopath, like with his phone. He like looked up how to charge it less so that the battery life would last like forever.
That
So
tracks for him.
his phone is so good to this point. He's an old phone. He doesn't have to charge his phone for like 3 days.
I
He
believe
just
it.
lives for like 3 days. And then he charges it for 20 minutes and then boom, done. 3 more days. I'm like, what do you do?
It's a
How did you get
genius.
this to happen? Doesn't plug it in at night, never. Just rolls. It's crazy. It's
It's
crazy.
unbelievable. They did invent things. Hopefully, if he gets a new one, they invented things to stop at like 90%, so you're good. Like it never goes to full. They have a setting now on iPhones that you can do that.
Well,
That's good stuff.
he's afraid of Big Brother, so he probably doesn't want a new phone.
That was a good side tangent. All right, but let's get to some hoops. March Madness, big picture thoughts. We'll do Pookies and Dookies. I do have a couple questions though. No, let's do Pookies and Dookies first, and then I'll ask my questions after. Alex, let's let Evan get settled. You go first. You're big Pookie or Dookie from the Sweet 16 Elite 8 weekend. That's not Michigan or Michigan State related.
Yeah, let's give a Pookie shout out to my guy, Cooper Flag. Just a good basketball player, particularly no reason, but he's just really fun to watch, really skilled player, does everything well. Really enjoyed watching him, even if he's on Duke.
Do you think if he just stayed and played for Maine, the Maine Bears, he'd have him in the second weekend?
I don't know. I mean,
I don't know.
He'd definitely have him in the tournament because he could take over that conference tournament for sure. Just get him in. Probably can upset someone as like a 12 or 13 seed. Probably Michigan. I don't think he gets to the second weekend.
Part of me was thinking I kind of wish he was on there because he could score like 45 points a game if he really wanted to. He just doesn't play like
try
that
half the time.
No, he like distributes the ball.
He's like, I'll pass it around.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's very good.
He's awesome. Player. I'm glad they made the Final Four. I don't know about you guys, but I don't really hate. I figured it out. I like John Shire. I did not like Coach K, and I don't have a problem with Duke at all.
I have no
now.
No problem with Duke.
Dare I say, like, kind of enjoy watching them. Like, I kind of like them.
Yeah, they're a fun team to watch.
I'm not like going to put on like devil ears and like root for them in the Final Four, but I'm just like they are kind of cool. I like Knipple as well. He just seems like a very humble baller, and he just blows my mind the way he's able to get to the basket.
Something about those exciting whites, you know?
Yeah. I mean, everyone on their team, really. But, Evan, to you? Pookie or Dookie?
Color commentators this weekend.
Oh, really? It's supposed to be better this weekend. We trimmed the fat of the first week.
Well, it wasn't. It's mainly Steve Lapis.
Yeah, he's bad.
And since I wasn't here last week, Spinarkle was terrible in the first week.
Oh, Ivan, you weren't here for when we went through the whole announcer crushing them bit.
I'm sorry I missed it. Gotta get
we did go through that.
Just bury all of them. Yeah, Lapis
was a nice thing said.
Yeah, I'll add on to that. I would say we said it 3 shows in a row, but it really delivered on camera. Hold Dookie to for teams that were in the Midwest Regional. I feel really bad for you. Not only did you get Catalan and Lapis as your crew, mainly Lapis dragging that down, but anyone that watched the Hoops games, the camera angle in Lucas Oil was atrocious, and
it was like lighting.
Oh,
it was
highly
dark.
Bad.
It was dark. It looked like they were like in a little auditorium. You couldn't see like any of the crowd. In the crowd, you could see they only had like small bleachers behind the benches. The way they designed it, so you couldn't even tell there were fans there really. And I think the sound suffered because they were so spread out. It just did not feel like big basketball games to go to a Final Four at any point of the 3 games. Even the Purdue-Houston game was awesome, but it just didn't have any sort of feel to it. Whereas when you would go to, especially in our regional, with the Auburn fans that traveled, that place was an electric factory compared to whatever was going on in the Midwest Regional. So big Dookie to that. I'll do a Pookie. Texas Tech. They did lose. They blew a game, so you would think Dookie. But really, they're responsible for 2 of the best games of the entire tournament, coming back versus Arkansas and then blowing a huge lead to Florida. So shout out to Texas Tech for providing a lot of entertainment.
Barely watched the Arkansas game. Saw they were up like 17 at one point. I was like, oh, it's sick.
So late, dude.
So late. Thursday night.
So late.
Turned it off. It was too late. And then I saw in the morning that Arkansas lost, and I was stunned.
Overtime delivered. I was mad. The text between, I think it was Cody, Luke,
game.
And I think Ryan maybe was awake, and I was just like so mad. Because Duke had just blown a huge bet for me, so I was pissed about that. And then Texas Tech came back, and I was like, I want to go to bed, but I can't go to sleep. Overtime was awesome though, so that was cool. At least delivered.
I did see the end of the Florida game, and I predicted it too.
Dookie.
Really?
I got another Dookie.
Give it.
Michigan State hockey.
Oh,
enough said.
That's tough. Agree with the take. I think Graham Couch said 1 and done seems a little harsh for
hockey. The hockey NCAA format is really bad, but
it's just like March Madness. You're 1 and done.
Yeah,
it just seems like there's a lot more variability in hockey versus the basketball game. If you're like significantly better,
Well, you can't. Well, it's not his fault. but the Hobie Baker Award winner missed a point-blank one-timer. I mean point-blank. With like 5 minutes left. Like, perfect pass, just whiffed on it. Like, his stick almost hit the goalie's glove. That's how close he was to the net. And then we had a tripping penalty with a minute and a half left, the power play, and then they dinked and dunked it away around.
Nightingale can't win the big one.
I think I was more pissed off about that outcome of the game than I was almost the Auburn-Michigan State game.
Well, when we get to
you do love puck. You do love puck.
That makes sense.
The expectations were a lot higher with that Michigan State hockey team.
I would be down for 2 out of 3 because I do think, especially hockey, all those teams are like pretty good. There's certainly layers of like being really good. Like
the 1 and 2 seeds didn't make it to the Final Four.
Yeah. And I feel like that happens quite a bit. I feel like it's not an outlier for hockey. I think 2 out of 3 is fair. The amount of variance, like you guys said, maybe the semifinal, well, the Frozen Four can just be play 1 game. But like to get to a Frozen Four, I feel like there should be 2 out of 3.
And you also play the whole season, not to get on a hockey tangent here, but like you play a series against teams like every weekend. You never play one-off games against people.
No.
The only time we have one game series is literally the tournament and the Big Ten tournament championship. It's just one game. All the other ones are series.
So maybe we rethink that, hockey.
Things we should. Other one I had was where did I have these? I'll go Pookie. I'll go 2. And I'll go 1. Tall guards. Tall guards have really stood out as a theme of this tournament. I think Duke really stood out to me. You don't really think it's more because of how the Alabama game shook out. Because Alabama looks like world beaters. I thought they would come down to earth anyways, but even if like Alabama
Grant's going to turn into Jay Billis and just talk about wingspan the entire time.
Maybe that's what I become. I think because I didn't like when you see Colin Knippel walk around and Tyrese Proctor, they don't like strike me as being super tall. But then you watch them go up against Alabama and they just like dwarf their guards. And I was like, you know what? There's something to be said where like I might take a 6'5", 6'4" guard that has a little bit less skill than like a 6'1" guard or 6 foot guard that's like uber skilled. Maybe I'm starting to get to that point, but maybe it's just a one-off because Duke is like 6'6" across the board and they look super intimidating. That's just my 2 cents. And Florida's guards are absolute men. So that's also in my head. Like Elijah Martin and Will Richard are just freaks of guards. And that's a Pookie for me. Tall guards. What else?
I mean, there wasn't that many games, so I didn't have that many Pooks and Dukes. And I mean, you could say Dookie, the games were not all that exciting.
Tennessee shooting display against Houston. Dookie, that goes into that. That game was a clunker of all clunkers.
Elite 8 games were.
There was one. Good. It was Florida, Texas Tech was the only one that delivered on a high level.
Yeah.
Dookie, yes. Big Ten, no Final Four. Hand up, I will take responsibility for that. If we had just kept our lead versus Auburn, Big Ten team would have been guaranteed a Final Four. So that's on us. That's on the boys in blue. If we had just knocked out Auburn, we would have had a representative. But we're left out on the outside again, partially because Big Dance is officiated way different than our entire season.
You could definitely tell in the Elite 8 game against Auburn that if that was a Big Ten game, there would have been so many foul calls, and then we're just accustomed to getting all those calls, and we're just watching them just like throw hands at each other in the lane, and it's fine, and then no calls.
Or like guys, Janai Broom, just
just throw guys around you and lay it in. No calls. Whatever. It is what it is. That's basketball.
Dookie, hate to go against one player, but this is just a weird stat. Just bad luck. Kind of reminds me of there was a hockey player, I think, that Marian Hossa, didn't he do this with the Red Wings and Penguins? Aiden Holloway. Alabama and Auburn have each gone to a Final Four in the last 2 years. He has been on the wrong side of that relationship back-to-back years. On Auburn last year, transferred to Alabama. So that's tough, I think. Not that he necessarily was like losing sleep over it, but there was a tweet. I was like, damn, that's a tough break. And then
tough break.
Also, last Dookie was just BYU's defensive approach. I know Alabama shot the lights out, but like they just kept letting them shoot threes. Like they just never adjusted to like maybe
from the
stepping
NBA.
Out. He just was like, we're gonna pack the paint still and like let them shoot without any ball pressure. That was crazy. My last 2, Walter Clayton Jr., Pookie, just absolute baller. And then the baseline out of bounds play for Houston. Coach's X's and O's. That was sexy. That was a nice way to win a basketball game with like 2 seconds left. People were getting mad at my boy Braden Smith. He was doing the right thing, as from what I read about coaching. He's supposed to go take the open guy. Maybe not, Evan. Maybe in that situation you could have collapsed. I don't know.
No, Purdue was doing that the entire time, the entire game. Whoever was guarding the inbounder was bailing and trying to take away their first option. And credit to
Calvin Sampson.
Yes, I was drunk. Holy cow. He had the counter to it in the final moments, and he also told in an interview afterwards, he's like, he never drew up a new play in that situation. They practiced that type of play.
Where did Calvin Sampson start his career as a GA?
Oh, Michigan State, Gillen.
Really?
Michigan State. Tom Izzo
Everyone
is the
forgets
reason
all
that he got
the crooked
fired.
stuff he did at Indiana. Everyone forgets.
Yeah. I don't really know what it was, but I assume whatever he did is legal now. So
I'm sure correct.
All he did was he paid like 2 players like lunches or something.
Eric Gordon or something, wasn't
Burgergate. He had a nothing burger.
It was like a burger game, maybe a little more extreme. Maybe
Miles Bridges paid for a meal for his mom or something. What are we talking about?
It was something pretty stupid. He got like exiled from college basketball.
Speaking of coaching, these are my open-ended questions. What are you guys' thoughts on Kevin Willard? I feel like that was very polarizing over the last week.
I never liked him in the beginning. Like I never had much respect for him. Last season it was like said that he would go on the recruiting trail and like tell people that Tom Izzo was washed and that they should go to Maryland because Izzo was going to quit after
negative
this season.
Recruiting.
Yeah,
and Izzo
you don't think Mel Tucker did that? Poor Jim Harbaugh.
Oh, I'm sure
Jim was actually trying to leave.
But that's not an Izzo guy. Izzo like compliments every coach he talks to about. It's super weird. Besides Dusty,
I wonder what he says about Dusty on the trail.
I don't think Izzo cares to talk about other coaches on the trail, but that's one thing Kevin Willard did. And they've always kind of sucked with him, besides this year. So it's not like I thought he was some spectacular coach out of nowhere. Like he's fine. Wasn't he at Seton Hall?
He got a unicorn.
Something?
He was at Seton Hall, then went to Maryland.
I'm very familiar with Kevin Willard's game. I've never really liked him at Seton Hall either.
Yeah,
just in terms of his demeanor.
Kind of
a little bit. I will say I do give him credit. I don't blame him in the sense that... At least
he was honest, I guess.
I don't blame him in the sense that he was trying to call out Maryland and be like, hey, if you're going to play this game where you're going to give all this money to football with the new rev share, then, like, what are we doing? Like, we're going to go downhill. So I do respect that.
He goes to school with no football team. Well, they have a football team, but, like, not really.
Yeah. No, but that's better. That's the side tangent that we can do off, but, like... That's what's got me excited about the Butler Bulldogs' future because Big East is going to have some coin to throw around now because we don't have to pay for football. It's a separate thing. But yeah, I think it is tough to handle those things though. Like I don't know what would you guys do if you were asked over and over again in press conferences like, hey, would you just say no comment on the job, no comment?
I'm focused on my team right now. Like you can say one comment
fans do what they want,
especially in the tournament. You're playing Sweet 16 game at that point.
Yeah, just make your statement and then be like, that's it about questions for that. Like I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, super unprofessional.
Or like when Izzo, someone asked him about the portal and he went on a 15-minute rant about how it's disrespectful to ask him about that.
He finished and then he basically just turns towards the reporter and like, you probably still don't like that answer, do you? I was like, yes, get him.
I don't know who it was, but I feel bad for that reporter because like you kind of have to ask
Stephen Brooks.
You kind of have to ask that question with how crazy the portal
Izzo
is.
said that at the end. He was like, I get that you have to ask a question. But I also think now, looking back, I like rewatched bits of that today. I was like, maybe it's because he already knew about the whole Holloman thing and he was already pissed about it.
Conspiracy Alex.
Well, no, because it's been like reported today.
He said, I have 15, and then he paused. And he's like, 16 guys in the locker room. I was like, oh, who did he leave out? And then he like tried to bring them back in.
And when we get to that, it was reported in February that Holloman was like out. So the whole like kissing the floor and all this crazy shit, like sounds like it was already known a long time ago.
But I don't know Tom Izzo like you guys know Tom Izzo. I feel like I know Izzo enough that if he had any inklings he was gone, he's not letting him kiss the floor. And two, if he found out like that week that he was going to be gone, I think he pulls a Malcolm Butler in the Super Bowl and Trey doesn't play. It's just like, why is he not playing? It's like, well, this kid's foot's already out the door. If he really knew and thought that.
I think he knew because based off the previous years, he had to know Hogard was leaving.
Holloman apparently was offered a huge amount of money last season, and he didn't take it. And then this year when he got benched, then his agent, it's not really the player doing all this stuff. The agent was like,
feeling things out.
We're not turning down.
Yeah, because the agents can talk to anybody at any time, so they can go feel free, be
right.
Oh, I can.
And
get
they basically said like
from this team.
If an offer like that comes in again this offseason, we're taking it. And I think that's why you also saw Trey Solo like emotional after the game, crying because he knew that was it for him.
I believe I believe that more than Izzo for sure knowing. But we'll get to it a little bit later. It's interesting.
If you think the head coach of Michigan State basketball didn't know that, had any idea Trey Holloman was leaving when it was leaked in February on message boards, you're out of your mind. He knew.
I don't know. But this is
not high school basketball. This is D1, basically professional sports.
Who is going on who's on message boards that much and is going to Coach Izzo?
It's not on message boards. It starts because the agent starts talking to other teams, and then obviously those all agents then find out about it. And then Michigan State has a guy that's also doing that for other people. So that guy knows. And that guy's telling Izzo.
You don't think Tom's talks to Trey and Trey's like, no, I'm not? Or
he probably does talk to him. He's like, yeah, how about we just focus on the season? We'll get to it when we get to it. That's what grown men do. That's what people do in real life jobs when they're going to leave. No one's talking about leaving, but everybody knows they're leaving.
Like you're going to be a free agent at the end of the year. You still have a job. You're still under contract for this year.
Maybe we can talk about our contract when the season ends. Like, I think that happens. That is the reality of college sports at the moment.
Everybody's on a 1-year contract.
It's hard for me to wrap my head, but maybe that is. Maybe
He knew.
Tom will probably breadcrumbs in the next month if
He'll
did.
Tell us.
Like he's usually good about just like subtly letting you know that he knew things were going on.
He's also said in that press conference he knows that teams have been trying to poach his players since November.
Yeah, Dan Hurley went on 60 Minutes and said half of his team's already like basically in the portal. It was like before they played the NCAA tournament. It's crazy. He's also a psychopath. Last questions. Duke. If I had to give you Duke versus the field of the Final Four 1 seeds, would you bet Duke or would you take the field still? Trying to gauge how Duke.
Take Duke. Yeah,
they do look dominant. It's crazy to say because it's all 1 seeds. Like it's the best. It's that tweet, Alex.
I simply was not impressed by Auburn whatsoever, so I can basically rule them out.
That's true. They do play sloppy, but they are electric. God, they're such a weird team.
I did not. I lost some respect for them after watching them play basketball.
Do you guys like this much chalk in the Final Four?
Did you guys see the stat during the game? The coincidence, the deja vu stat?
Oh, yeah, 48-39.
Well, not that one.
Well,
the 1 seeds. The last time there was a 1 seeds was 2008. That Final Four was in San Antonio. The Final Four national championship dates, same days as this year.
It's a simulation. Are we living in a simulation?
But I mean, we kind of hinted at when we were doing. I don't know if we were filling out a bracket or whatnot. But
Alex was on this.
I said
we were going through the what was it called?
Ken Pom
rankings, and we were talking about how there was no one outlier team, but like the top of the field, which we basically had in the Elite Eight. The top of the field were all the top teams in the Ken Pom.
Yeah, I think we had 7 of the top 8 teams made the Elite Eight, and then all top 4 teams made the Final Four.
Our bracket's crushing. Well, it's in third.
I saw another crazy stat, Ken Pom related. The Purdue 1 seed that lost to Fairleigh Dickinson, would have been like 15th in this year's Ken Pom.
Wow.
So, just not even remotely.
They did have like all freshman guards on that
5 seed.
They would have been a 5 seed in this year.
This is how
around
4
a 5
seed.
Speaking of bracketology, this is how we're looking in the Shot Michigan Sports Bracket Pool. Wyatt still, but he's maxed out poorly because he had State winning it all.
God damn, Grant, you just know basketball.
We have a good chance between ours and mine to at least get first, but there's a couple Auburn lurkers and a Duke. Obviously, whoever this is, that person with Duke probably is the front runner because we all just said we'd take Duke.
Scroll down.
Scroll down.
A lot of solid brackets.
Alex, you would have had the Final Four right if you didn't use your override on Michigan State. Not to, have sore wounds.
There I am.
I'm so far down there. Not
Evan,
even on the first page.
Oh, no. The top 25
Evan.
filter.
I tried to be special by putting Clemson in the Final Four.
Coach Cat.
Evan, damn near last place.
Damn near last place.
But not last.
Somebody picked Missouri.
You're safe, too. Someone's got 460. Such a bad bracket. Wow.
All right, well.
I'm behind Brad. That's upsetting.
All right, let's go into. Do you guys want to do? Evan, we were going to do Michigan first, assuming you wouldn't have been on. We can still do that, or would you rather do Michigan State first?
I'm good with whatever. It does not matter to me.
All right, let's do State just because you guys made it farther and had more wins this year and beat Michigan twice, so you get to go first.
And the Big Ten champions and better.
Yeah, I think I kind of said that in that recap. But it's just you didn't.
Sure.
All right, so we're going to bring it into 3 or 4 different buckets. We're going to go Ole Miss game, Auburn game, season recap as a whole, and then transfer portal, what's happened today, and looking forward. We might do more season recap stuff next week as more things happen in the end of the transfer portal, but it's always fresh. And that's what sucks about transfer portal on a mini tangent.
Fast, dude.
You have no chance to even enjoy your guys' season because we've gone 2 days now and now people are leaving.
That'll be on my Auburn game. I mean, I had a whole plan of what I was going to talk about, and then today just completely dismantled it.
Wow. All right, let's package Ole Miss first. You gotta tell Evan after we are done recording how you watch Ole Miss. So good. I'm gonna picture about that as we listen to this.
You watch Ole Miss? Alex watched how Ole Miss was probably 10 times better than how I watched Ole Miss.
Yeah, how did you watch Ole Miss, Evan?
I was driving back from Hilton Head. I was on this iPad in the Tecumseh Athletics van. Streaming it hotspot on YouTube TV while driving through West Virginia, Ohio.
Hotspot is how much did it buffer?
Okay, so good friend Will was driving, and he's like, "Watch, the location is going to update, and it's going to buffer the last 10 seconds of the game." And this was before the game even starts.
And that's what it did.
We get down. There's 2 minutes left. Guess what finally happens? It buffers. 2 minutes left. It's just sitting there freezing. I was like, you got to be shitting me. I hit him so hard. I was like, this is your fault.
You got it back?
Yeah, we got it back. Okay. I had to refresh. I knew I was behind, so I picked it back up where I left off of. I was probably 30 seconds to a minute behind everyone else. Just refused to look at my phone.
How about that 3.5 cover?
As soon as that went in, that's the first thing I said. I was like, oh, it covered. Thank God I didn't bet. Couldn't bet. South Carolina. Can't gamble.
Good to know. All right. So during that game, I have one question to lead you guys off, and then you can talk about whatever you want. How dark did it get in terms of thinking you'd lose during that game?
Let me start. The group chat.
Oh, no.
Our
Puddle?
group chat was...
We previewed this with Cody on the last show.
Yeah. God, he just didn't listen, did he? Group chat puddled so hard, so fast, so poorly, and I started a new thing where I just kept sending #believe. I just kept sending that over and over. I probably sent it 20 times, and then I just kept telling people that we were going to win the game. So I stayed positive the entire time. I thought we were going to win the entire time. And I kept saying we were going to win the entire time in the group chat. But the rest of the chat, no, they thought it was over.
We're saying it got to 22-14 with 8 to go in the first half. We're talking full alarm bells then. That's when people are like.
This is the same chat that when we were down to Bowling Green in the first half or half of game 3, they were saying that we were an NIT team.
Was going crazy though.
Yeah, correct.
Performance of the year still.
Same chat said we were an NIT team at the time.
29-19 with 4 minutes to go. That probably was dark at the under 4.
Yeah, there were certainly points where I felt bad, but I never felt like we couldn't come back. And then it got to 12 minutes left, and we were down 9 or 10.
In the second half.
Yeah, we were down 9. We were down 9 with 13 minutes left.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was the stat in the Auburn game, how you guys both came back. Yeah, 48-39, 12
That's
minutes
when
to
it was
go.
we really got to dig deep here because it could be over if we don't.
Cone Carr makes a jumper, I think, from the elbow or something, like a confident step-in jumper.
And then, put the clamps on, things started happening. And then obviously the Cohen Carr dunk and Iron Eagle call, just absolutely out of body experience on that one. Just
Bill's
the
woohoo
sound,
was so good, dude.
The sound of the dunk too was just so crazy. I don't know if I've ever heard something like that.
Yeah,
it was great. That at that moment, I was like, "We're winning this."
No, but overshadowed now. Padula, Stones. That kid impressed me. I wanted to hate him.
Good.
He drains a 3 in your guys' face to take the lead by 2. I'm like, oh wow.
Yeah.
Like, Ole Miss is not. I've seen Michigan State go on like a 5-0 run after a Cone Carr dunk. He just answered that in a second.
Padula, a good player. He kept him in it. He kept, because then we went through that like trading bucket period where, even
that was
Fears
high-level basketball.
Yeah, people just going back and forth, making shots. Fears goes and takes contact, makes a floater. I'm like, what the is happening now? we couldn't score for 35 minutes, and now everybody's scoring on every possession. But yeah, then obviously pulled away, made all our free throws.
Carson Cooper, big layup. That was a nice pass to him, but just he also made 2
free throws and fist pumped on a 1-on-1. So shout out Cooper. That was a great moment. What really sucks about winning a Sweet 16 game is that you have no time to enjoy it whatsoever, especially when you lose the Elite Eight game.
Turn you on.
It's like, just like you can't go back and be like, oh, that Sweet 16 game was great, because it was an awesome moment. It was like, felt really good. You came back from near double digits late in the second half, win a game, and then it's like, oh, well, you lost on Sunday a day later, so who cares? That's what sucks about a Sweet 16 win. No one cares about it. No one will even remember it.
No, I will.
I'll remember the Cohen Carr dunk forever because that was incredible.
I'll also remember, I think it was Malik Dia. I've never seen someone at high-level basketball shoot without jumping at all. That guy's jump shot was actually unbelievable. Every time I was like, he did it again. He's just not jumping.
We definitely overestimated Ole Miss. I felt like they had some dudes. They were a pretty good basketball team. Chris Beard's defense, whatever wizardry he pulls,
they just they're almost like that's so insulting to say, but like it's almost a high school scout in terms of how much they lock in on one thing. The way they would guard you and dare you to go to your offhand was like what reminds me of some teams do in high school if someone can only dribble left or right. And it like just made the MSU guards panic because they were like,
until they realized, oh, wait a second. What are we doing?
Or even like, because there was one I remember in the first half. So I have no idea when though, but it was like they do the no middle BS where they want you to drive to the little spot there on the baseline, and then they come trap you. And Fears went into it, but he was just so athletic. He jumped and threw a pass to the other side of Jace for a 3. It's like you don't have to be scared of the no middle defense. You can go to what they want you to do because you're that much better in a sense to like land on 2 and make the pass that you need to make. But they just kept getting scared to like not do what Ole Miss wanted them to do.
Yeah, the skip passes are wide open against that defense. You could just dribble, skip it over, and wide open 3 or drive it in and get a layup. But yeah, it was scary for a bit. There's no doubt.
The underrated part, well, I don't even know if it's underrated. It like kind of swung everything. But then you still did get down 9 with 12. But the end of the first half there, you guys hit 4 threes in a row.
Yeah, to get that back
the first half.
2 at we were down 2 at half.
I'm gonna go check.
Maybe 5. 2.
2 at half. Yeah.
Yeah, Akins hit the 3 to go down 2, I think, and you're like, holy. 40 seconds ago, we were dead, like looking bleak, down like 10 points.
Down 10.
And then I wake up and we're down 2 at halftime.
And Carr was one of those threes too, which was just like, holy cow.
Absolutely winning this basketball game.
Jace, Carr, Jaden to end the half, 33-31. Wild.
Yeah. Because we had, with like 6 minutes left in the first half, we had like 14 points.
Yeah, it was a slugfest.
Never doubt.
Evan, I'll give you first tee off then on Auburn. You probably got to watch that one in a more comfortable position. Oh, like you said, with friends. Yeah.
Besides the weather updates, it's everyone's gonna probably bitch and complain. We should have been able to stop, bro. Like, what are we gonna do with our best player? It is the mindset of the Spartan defense. You got to let him.
Everybody knew what we were gonna do.
You got to let him score his whatever, and can't let anybody else get hot from three. I mean, they're a shooting team. They are perimeter guards. Want to chuck it up.
They do. They do like to chuck.
Bedford didn't have his best game. He didn't play too well. So, I mean, we shut him down. We shut the perimeter game down. Just Brome was able to do whatever he wanted down low. I mean, also our post defense, athletic-wise, skill-wise, isn't 100% there. Cooper is our best defensive player, but he's more just long and lengthy, so he causes some problems. But athletic-wise, he's not. He can't match up there. Kohler's too small. He's more of a traditional 4. And then Zappala's Zappala. He's not athletic enough to do that. I mean, I was happy with the game plan. It was all right. I mean, the issues aren't on defense. I mean, you got to look yourself in the mirror on offense. And when you shoot 3 for 17 from 3, take away the last 3 minutes, because that's when we start chucking the ball up and those shots go in. But at one point, we're 3 for 17 from 3. They went on a 17-0 run there in the middle of the first half. It's hard to come back from that. But, however, everyone's going to say, well, we're used to doing that. We came back like that all year. Well, you're not facing the number 1 overall seed in the tournament with an All-American center that's controlling the game and pace of the game.
Not to mention 5 starters that are like 23, 24 years old.
I'm
not one of those.
That was a big topic.
Older.
I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, buddy, graduate. Like, I'm not one of those people. Like, it is what it is. You want to play in college forever? If you can, go ahead.
I wish I never left.
Still too.
I could have play now. I would play.
I'm not using that as like an excuse, but like, yes, those guys have experience. They're grown ass dudes out there.
Bruman looks like he's 45.
Yeah, he is. I think Jay said at halftime when they had the little interview with Tracy Wilson, he's like, yeah, we just came out scared. We did look like weirdly scared against them. Cooper turned the ball over like 7 times just on like, it wasn't 7, but it felt like 7 because in the moment, he just threw the ball away to no one. What's tough is that, yes, Auburn's very good. Great basketball team. Like, they deserve to win. Fine. The problem is Michigan State probably played one of the worst games they've played in 2 months in terms of they turned the ball over. They're pretty sloppy offensively. They did nothing. They weren't really moving around. And they just look like you have Akins and Holloman, who's now, I guess now both are gone. Can't shoot at all, miss every shot they take, basically. Like, you just had one guy keeping you in it, Jace, and another guy, Kohler, keeping you in the basketball game. Shout out Jackson Kohler for having the best game of his season in the biggest moment.
Yeah. 17-11 double-double.
And even it takes like
3 threes.
Frankie Fiddler layups to keep you afloat at points.
Also, shout out Frankie Fiddler had a huge stretch in this game.
But what's frustrating...
He was the spark plug off the bench in multiple games this year. Aggressive, assertive, The
moment was never too big for Frankie Fiddler.
Had one really, really bad turnover where he was driving, and I think he just chucked the ball out of bounds. But.
Yeah, he does that a couple of times. I think just what's frustrating is you played pretty good defense, good enough defense to win the game. Auburn did not play their best either. Like, I took away from watching Auburn was like, I don't see how they're going to win a national championship. Chad Baker-Mazara would be the most frustrating basketball player on the planet to be on your team.
Yeah, Auburn fans do not like him.
He's Ray Allen. He's just pulling threes from that are not open, completely contested, and just throws them up, air balls, like terrible. And then, of course, like there was one point where like they airball a 3, we miss, we don't get the rebound. They chuck it out to him of all people.
He hits one.
This is the one they're going to make to go back up double digits. Drills it. I just think ultimately, like, Michigan State played bad. Auburn didn't play great. Auburn's more athletic. They have more guys they can turn to in the moments. And that's why we lost. But it's frustrating because I didn't think we were that overmatched. And I think if we just played like our B-level game, we could have been in that at the end. Not to mention Auburn almost turned it over twice. And if we just hit one of those other threes that we missed at the end, it would have been a 1-possession game.
I know. That is crazy.
If Fierce would have just shot the 2-pointer right at the square,
chucking it out of
bounds.
Yeah, we actually almost got that game to a place where we had the ball to go to OT, which is insane. That's how bad Auburn looked in the end.
Yeah, it is a crazy game in the sense where, like, you guys did chip it to 6. Like, when you look at this game 10 years from now, I'm like, oh, 6-point game. It never felt really, though.
No, it never felt that
it didn't,
close.
It's just, it didn't feel that
We'd
close.
We'd get it within 8. Auburn would hit a 3, go back up 10 or 11. We'd get it within
we couldn't go on
7 or 8. No, we couldn't get it within a possession. We never got within a possession.
And I do agree with you, Alex, in terms of shooting. Like, there was that one possession that everyone remembers where there was like 3 offensive rebounds and wide open threes just not going in.
Dude.
So that is like one of those things where you say, like, if we just even shot, a little bit better from 3, it's closer. I will say, though, I did notice in both games, but really this one, because I think Michigan State's offense is just a little bit more sound than Michigan's, especially, is that Auburn's, as sloppy as they play on offense, like, their defense, I think it's slept
when they
on.
want to play defense, they can.
How fast their guards are. Like, they don't play the most sound scheme, but they, like, if they go help on the wrong guy, their other guard's fast enough to recover, then they just are switching a bunch. And the Cardwell guy is phenomenal at affecting people. I think Evan said played scared or whatever, that was like, Marissa was going crazy. She's like, why are we driving over and over into his chest when he's blocking everything? Like, and he only had 2 blocks, but like, it felt like some of them were like off the high glass type of George Blaha shots because they felt like he was going to block it. And that's where I was like, looking back, Michigan State, you kind of like are the old school fine with mid-range jumpers team. I think that is where you guys could have gotten the over the hump points wise. Like, instead of trying to drive into Cardwell and Broom's chest, like, just stop at the elbow and shoot a jumper with Holloman and Akins. Like, I feel like you guys are good at that. And those aren't bad shots for you.
Holloman gave me such bad flashbacks to AJ Hogarth last year against North Carolina. He would just take it in. They basically like let him think his layup was wide open and then just swat it off the glass. I'm like
playing Madden as a cornerback,
dude,
and you like sag off.
They're baiting you into doing that every time. I think we were like 5 of 17 on layups, and then every time Auburn goes in for a contested layup, even on Cohen Carr, they made everything like layup wise. They just have dudes. They have more dudes than us.
Off the bench, like Chaney Johnson's, they got off the bench.
Yeah,
like, who is this guy?
Significantly deeper, and yeah, they're not sound. They're not disciplined, like you said. But like they have guys that can just get a bucket, and they have guys that can just strap up on defense for a possession. And like we're a team. Like we're more of just like we have to be fundamentally sound. We have to do this, this, and this. We have to rebound well. We have to run. We have to shoot a little better, and we didn't really do it.
And they
never really reached that.
The crowd
potential.
was huge.
Yeah.
The crowd was nice.
I'm not sure that affected us too much, but I think it definitely affected them and helped them push them forward.
This is an interesting question. Marissa and I were also talking about, if you played Auburn 10 times, how often do you think you would win the game?
Neutral or like at Auburn? Because we basically played at Auburn.
That's a good question. Let's just say in that arena, that setting.
Probably 3 times, maybe.
I was going to say a little higher. I would say at least 4 or 5. I'd say at least 4 times we beat them.
I was probably closer. I'm somewhere in there. I was closer to like 2.5 to 3. But
I just did not leave that game thinking, oh, Auburn's so good. Like, they're impossible to beat. Like, the Duke team we played was better than them. Like,
I also watched a lot of Auburn games because they were on primetime on ESPN every single weekend.
Yeah.
And Broom, I was like, he's not going to shoot 89% from the field. However, he did that in the first half. And I was like, oh, great. I was like, he's going to miss some easy ones around the rim. Nope, he just didn't do that. And he played his best game. I mean, double-double, high double-double, even though he hyperextended his knee, hyperextended his elbow.
Everything on the same play. It's crazy.
Yeah.
He was done.
He's going to be
the amount of drama from that moment was so ridiculous. It's
you have to write it.
It was good TV, though. It was. I'll be honest, as unbiased,
it was stupid when he walked
TV.
by his bench and was like, "You guys got to finish this game for me, man. I'm done."
It was
like
such good TV.
Totally fine. I'm like, what? Then he comes back. Doesn't even ask Bruce Pearl if he can go in. He just went in the
when
game.
He hit that 3, though, I was like, "Oh my god, this guy."
I knew when he pulled it was going to go in. It was just some stupid, shitty storybook that we just had to be on the other end for.
That was a crazy moment.
Yeah, it sucked.
I wasn't
mad when we lost. I want that on record. I was just more like disappointed that the run of that season ended.
It's over. And like it was a I don't know. Like you said, you deep down know they are a really good team and they probably were due for their Final Four after their upset last year, but like you didn't play your A game and go out. So that'll always make you think like, what if we played our A game? Like then you probably go on. But they didn't play their A game either.
No, that's
it's just
what
a
I
mix
mean.
of
That's just a missed opportunity in that sense that you could play a little better.
The one coaching thing we'll never know. And it's just my belief in my guy. And I think it worked against Michigan. I just would have liked, I was listening to the Mark Titus show after. They did good like post-day recaps, and there was one guy on there, Barstool Reeves. And I agreed with what he said. He was like, if I'm Izzo, and again, it feels stupid to question Izzo because he's a legend. And again, he knows more about basketball in his pinky than we do. But like after making that switch with Carr in the Ole Miss game, saying like, this is my 5. I would have rather him done like the same 5 and be like, this is my best 5. I know it is. And like, I personally I texted in the group early before things got tense, but like, why not just let Carr bang against Broom and see what happens? Like, I know he might be giving up a couple inches, but you can't tell me. I've watched his athleticism fluster so many good scores in college basketball that Zapala was just food for him. Kohler's food. Like all those guys are just not it for Janai Broom. And if you wanted to go one-on-one, which I'm fine with, because I think that strategy was good, to like see if Janai can beat you one-on-one, but like just let Kohler or let Carr play on him instead of Zapala. I didn't need Zapala's fine. I love the kid. Didn't need him back in the starting lineup for that moment. I don't know what you guys thought about it all, especially like after the game too.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that was we just implored the Edey strategy on Broom. That was the plan. Let Broom score 50 and then don't let others beat you on threes. And honestly, like if you told me like Auburn scored 70 points against you, like that's not a lot. College basketball, it's nothing.
You win 73,
just put up
70.
160,000 points in this tournament. And you can definitely win in a race to 70. That's like how this team wins. So I get that. But as of like if it's Carr or someone else, I don't know. I don't know if Carr's going to do any better, maybe. But like, I don't know. I guess it's probably worth trying. I would agree in that sense. And I can see why you went. It is weird that they put Carr in the starting lineup for Ole Miss just because they knew, like matchup wise, Zapala like could play in that game, and he never played in that game.
No,
and I think they just thought that the size would help because Auburn did have a million guys with size, so like those guys were going to have to play. So I don't know what the difference is if you start with a small ball lineup or not. Carr's, yes, he can jump out of a gym, but he is giving up 3 inches, 4 inches.
I think he would have rattled Janai Broom. I do.
I mean, you have a lot
my
of
sweet
faith in him.
prince.
And I think Colin Carr's going to be a superstar next year. But,
superstar. Vince Carter.
he might be. He's going to be must-watch television next year.
Oh, my God. He already is. He's the best.
Yeah, I love that guy. Love that kid.
Let's go season recap. We'll start with you, Evan. Teams 30-7, Elite 8, regular season title. Just overall thoughts, I guess, on when you started this season back in October, November to where you guys ended.
It was an accomplishment. No flash in the pans, no super mega stars. It was like Alex touched on. It is a team basketball back to almost our brand of basketball that was repeated over and over again throughout the year. NIL and transfer portals killing it, but you could still win the old school way. Overall successful year. I don't care what people say. You won the Big Ten championship with 18 teams in it. Regular season, you won the Premier League.
By 3 games, too. 17 wins.
You swept your arch rival. You beat the scumbags from Purdue. Didn't have to play them twice, but you beat them.
And Illinois.
Twice. Beat Illinois, beat Wisconsin. You stumbled against a really bad Indiana team. Worst loss of the year. And you lost your LA West Coast trip. Not too upset there. Kansas game, looking back on it, obviously a bunch of rust, rotation-wise, ugly basketball. But since then, we kind of took off, to be honest. Overall, I have no issues with the team. I hope most of them stay together. I'm praying Jace comes back. Praying he comes back. Otherwise, this can be portal guys and just the whole uncertain, or you don't know what the team's going to look like or how they're going to play next year. I just wish you kind of knew going in. Like this year, we had no idea what we were going to get. No idea. There was some hope, but I just wish he, kind of got set in stone. I know I'm going to get out of Fears. I know I'm going to get out of Kohler. Carr when he stays.
Superstar in the making.
Yes. But you still need scorers. You need guards that can score. And
Kurtang.
when you say Fierce, Kohler, and Carr, not many guards there that can score.
They will be just fine.
Experience matters, and the more experience you have on a team, the deeper you run you can take in March.
Alex, your takeaways? What sticks in your head for the 2024?
Got a lot to be proud of. Team that crazy that everybody says this is like a less talented Izzo team was just crazy to say because every single player is a 4 or 5 star on the team, so like they have a ton of talent. I guess just in general,
NBA talent,
not
probably
enough NBA guys.
NBA talent wise,
you got 2
popularity.
Whatever. Either way, they have talent. These
Sex
are good
appeal.
basketball players.
Sex appeal.
Lots to be proud of. Just won the Big Ten with relative ease. He came up short to the overall number 1 seed in the Elite 8. Like, yes, the expectation for this program is to get to the Final Four at a minimum, probably.
It's a crazy
feel
expectation.
Really good, and it's just where it is. That's what it is. It's what it is to be a top-level blue blood program in college basketball, whether people want to agree with it or not. I think this showed that Izzo's ways still work, so everyone bitching that he needs to be fired can shove it right up their hoot. He proved that again.
Good storyline. That's a good point.
We should also be grateful that we still have him and that when he's gone, like there's no guarantee that this type of stuff is going to keep happening. So we need to be grateful for when it does. My favorite part about this team was that they, like in a society where all kids and people just care about doing the least for the most amount of money, like we just have a real piece of world at the moment. Like that's just kind of how it is. These kids actually bought into something, wanted to win together, wanted to do whatever it took to like have a legacy in an age where, people don't do that. Like, and that's why I think we like sports. That's why we grew up loving sports, like winning and being a part of a team and all of that. And I think that gets lost in the shuffle here in 2025 when kids are just bag chasing and they want to be famous on TikTok for like how cool they are at dancing after the game and dropping 50 points in a 20-point loss. Like that's not appealing to me, but this team, they reinvigorated my love for like sports and college sports just to see, Trey Holloman leave today. So then like that kind of kills the whole thing. But like, at least I know they were bought in for a season.
It was so good to the last.
I was just bought in and they were bought in. And then now, like the portal era, it is what it is. There's a lot of slime ball agents now that you're going to do whatever they can to get their 10% or whatever. But yeah, it was a very refreshing change in the college landscape, especially after I watched this football season of NIL and conference expansion and the playoff expansion and all this that I hate. So yeah, it was nice. It felt like I was back in 2012 watching Michigan State, beat Virginia or Oklahoma or whoever it was in like 2015 in like the tournament with a bunch of dudes that started at Michigan State and ended at Michigan State, which just
you guys see that graphic of the starting teams and where they
top
came,
8 players.
That did rounds. Yeah, that was going around.
Purdue and Michigan State, Houston kind of, and then no one else.
Purdue, man. Just all P's. Shout out. Matt Painter, good guy. Connor, listening now. Good guy.
And I also want it on the record. I don't care that kids want to transfer and get more money if they've earned it and they played well and deserve it. But
just hate to see it.
Before we dive into that,
kids these days don't care about anything except money, and that's
think about the good. This was the team that reinvigorated your love for Spartan basketball after a couple.
They did.
Tough years.
Jace Richardson were the ones that.
And you had the Jace breakout. It's so fun when you have a freshman that you think is going to be good, and then they just burst in front of
every
your
week.
face.
Grant, I had to hear you say, "Oh, draft stock's rising," and I just get sad on the inside.
Well, that was actually a good friend. Imagine if you were blindsided longer. I told you in January he's probably going pro.
After the Rutgers game, I was like, Grant, you're lying. This article is fake.
Guys,
After the Rutgers game.
Yeah.
Good news in the NIL era, you can now use that money to retain a player to stay longer.
Like the Michigan Wolverines team that ran it back with all those Mikey Sanders still, baby.
Yes.
Use your NIL to keep good players, not go get new ones.
Retain players with your NIL and continue to develop and grow in this society.
What are you doing today to keep Jason on campus?
Soft...
Yeah, I do get it. Yeah, TikTok dancing's weird. But that's just, we missed their generation.
And just granted, Jason Cohen, they do that the most on our team. But like those guys can, because I would die for those guys.
Selective. So, all right, we'll do this quick and then we'll do the Michigan bucket. But in terms of official in and outs from today, unless there's new ones I'm missing, Booker, Garrick Norman, Trey Howman out. No one in as of this moment. I'm sure Alex has been on the board seeing if there's any interest of people.
I did pop back on today.
Any names? Any names that were
There's
rumored?
one crazy name. There's one crazy name, but I'm just
I don't even like you say names in the group chat. I don't even know some of these names.
That's probably for the past 7. You don't need to be in the weeds.
Yeah, agreed. You don't. There was one. So when Trey Howman entered the portal, they gave the whole spiel about why he entered the portal. And then this one guy who has inside information for, I don't know, knows a coach or something, was like, yeah, I heard an insane name today, but like, I don't believe it. And then another guy that was also like a guy with
Hunter
sources
Dickinson's
was like,
Braden Smith
was like, yeah, I heard the same name. If this kid enters the portal when he declares for the draft, then you know what could happen.
If he declares for the draft, you're saying?
Like, this kid's probably going to test 100% chance this kid's testing the waters at an absolute minimum. This kid's a projected top 10 draft pick. So it's unlikely that he's really going to enter the portal. But this player is Jeremy Fierce's brother.
Oh.
Jeremiah.
That would make a lot of sense, actually.
He's going to get a bag from like a blue blood.
Maybe he takes a brother discount.
We have his brother and we have bags. So let's just remember
that we've had at Michigan State, they're all like, I want to write my own chapter.
All right, but I'm just saying, it sounds like the only way that he's not going to go to the NBA is if he's going to play with his brother in college for one season.
That would be so sick. Damn, you guys would be nasty.
If that's the replacement for Trey Howman, then we come out on this side winning like heavily.
A lot.
We get like a John Tunji.
I'm putting this at like 10%.
Jeremiah Fierce is better than John Tunji.
What are you talking? This is a top 10 draft pick we're talking about.
I get that, but like I will believe it when he comes.
Right.
We get a European lottery pick. What are we doing?
You guys don't really scout overseas.
Yeah, it's weird.
Evan,
he likes Americans. He's a simple man.
This was not really interested in guys that are just like the big name dudes that you want. He's not interested in them. He wants guys that will work hard. That's just like what he wants.
It's literally like LeBron and Bronny wanting to play a year together, and that's what Jeremiah Fierce is going to do.
And remember, we recruited
Jeremiah
Jeremiah heavily, and he didn't want to come because of that. And now, if he does, holy, could you imagine? That'd be sick. We'd be so far back, we'd be better.
See, that's what you
need.
Even
better.
No, yeah. Okay, so let me give some unbiased, maybe slightly biased take. Trey Howman was on my fantasy point scoring team though, so he had a special. I kept saying every time he scored, "My guy, that's my guy."
I tried to take a step back. Losing Trey Howman is not like the team just blew up and the team's over.
If we're talking about box score watching, correct. It's just we know emotionally what it means to people.
Yes.
Yeah. That's crazy. It is truly stunning. I know we've had a couple half a day to digest it.
It's the most surprised I've ever been on a Michigan State player entering the portal in the portal era for any sport.
Like if you told me, you could have ran down a bunch of people. I for sure thought Holloman and Fears are back. They're back no matter what.
I already wrote it in.
I just don't know. And that's what's so interesting about your thought there. There's so many. That's the beautiful part because we don't know for a couple days. So probably we'll get answers tomorrow with how fast this shit works. So it'll be outdated. But is it money? Is it he just was rubbed by having to sit on the bench? Because it was such a good storyline of the continuity and team before self. You just got passed by Jace, but you're still going to play a lot. And then I don't know. And you think he was fourth in minutes of those guards, and 2 of them are gone. So it's not playing time on the surface unless there's more working behind the scenes that you would think.
He played a lot. Anyways.
And then in my mind's like, whose numbers are crazy? I know, Evan, you always are like, I can't believe this guy makes this much. Let's just say hypothetically, I have no idea. I know he's definitely not $1 million player. That would be crazy.
$800,000 from Arizona State. How about that? Let's just say hypothetically that's what it is.
But you have to assume he's probably making $300,000 to $500,000 at Michigan State.
I bet he makes like $450,000, $400,000, somewhere around there.
And I guess in his case, if you were talking about a $350,000 to $400,000 jump,
double what you're making,
double that, and overseas, I looked it up today. Overseas money, which is Trey Holloman, probably, unless there's a massive jump.
Not an NBA player.
You make $100,000 if you're like average. So you do have to think of that. Like that's 4 years of work in Italy for like 1 year at Arizona State. And it just depends on, your drive, your background, your family situation. Well, we're multiplying, 400-year bump, 400,000 bump. So in that case, it's like, damn, if that was me, I don't know, as much as I'd like to be a Spartan dog, like that's a lot of coin. That's a lot of money.
$800K is life altering for most people. Like
it's a lot of money.
Just make that much money in a 4 or 5 month period is insane.
Yeah,
as a kid.
As a kid, and just kind of be set. Like, don't worry about what job you get out of school.
It's hard to not be like understanding in the sense like, number one, maybe he wants to play point guard, which we very clearly have a starting point guard that we're not just going to move off of.
And he's going to play 35 minutes at Arizona State. They'll run him into the ground
and win nothing, which sucks. Like nothing. I wouldn't want to do that. Just like his style. Like, could you imagine his style on that team? Like no one's going to listen to him. Like Arizona State is like the classic like soft NIL team. Like doesn't care about winning. Like he doesn't fit that at all. That's why it's so weird for him to enter. He's just not a guy like that. Like. Dude literally was willing to put his body on the line against the entire Michigan basketball team if he had to defend a logo.
Well, it was Fat Brooks. It's not like he was going up against Golden.
Right, but I'm saying if
but like he would have probably.
If the whole he's the same guy who stood up to Zach Edey with 15 inches on him, it's like this guy's leaving. Like it's very weird. But also like, if an agent's in your ear and your mom's in your ear and dad's in your ear and your brother, sister, friends are like, hey, you got to take this money. And you turned it down once already. I can see how eventually over time it wears on you. And you're like, you know what? Fine. I've given everything I have to this university. I can go do my AJ Hogarth stint and make a bunch of money somewhere else, I guess. Like, I guess that's the mindset.
This had to crush you, Evan. This one had to. You hate players leaving. You do.
I was shocked when I saw it at lunch today.
April Fools, right?
That's the first thing I thought of, and then we were all
thought it was April Fools.
They going on a tangent, and then it's real, and I just came to realize it is what it is.
Wasn't it Jonathan Gavoni who broke it?
Yeah.
So that means that Trey has like heavy NBA agents because Jonathan Gavoni. I saw that there was 2 names. Jonathan Gavoni is a freaking like NBA Draft Express scout guy. Like if he's the one breaking this news, then Trey has like top of the tier agents. So that probably factors in a lot that they're just like sharks trying to get like people bidding against each other by the $20,000 range for his services. It's just crazy. Yeah, very surprising. But like you said, box score wise on the surface, it's not like it's like the craziest players. I mean, Pierre Brooks didn't have those numbers and didn't mean as much, but like he still could get like 4 points a game and Trey's at 9 points a game. So it's different, obviously. It's just very, I don't know. I guess we'll look back on it and there'll be a clear, like he'll probably realize in a year if he made the right decision or if he should have stayed for one last ride. And if he like went to the Minnesota Gophers, those are transfers I could understand. Like if you're just homesick, I could kind of get that. If the pressure gets too much and you just want to be by family, but I don't get the sense he's going to go there. So it's just going to be.
What I did read was that, like whatever the offer is, that's already like these, basically when these kids go into the portals, cause they already have an offer and they're probably going to commit like a day or two anyways, like they're not coming back at that point. And I guess the whole thing was that like Michigan State didn't think paying him more than everybody else on the team was worth like the locker room drama and all that, and that we were simply not willing to match like these crazy offers. And
fine business, yeah.
On the flip side of that, it sounded like we were very willing to to do the whole bidding war match offer thing with Cohen Carr. So that tells you
yes.
Puts asses in seats.
Evan, Tom doesn't strike me as a guy that would take a guy back.
No.
Or do you think if Trey came back, let him kiss the floor?
I see Tom as accepting it. He's loyal to people.
You make him beg on your knees, beg for your spot back on the team.
You're not going to do this again. You promise?
But Evan, Hogard has to come back last year before entering the portal, and Tom's
different guy. Different
personality.
Different guy.
Just making sure
Didn't listen to Tom on the bench. Actively.
Yes. Different personality, different team. I think I don't know how coaches would do it, but if I was Tom and Trey asked, I would ask the team first.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a team decision.
That's good coaching.
Sure.
You can't just it can't just be your obviously it's your program, but it can't just be your decision. You're not going to bring back a player and then the entire team hates him, like Alex said. Drama or no drama.
You just can't have such a connected team the year before and then risk like bringing back a guy that tried to leave and for more money and come back and like see if that run it back and see if that works.
And then wants like 30 minutes off the rip.
Yeah, like
starting lineup.
I just don't think like our program, our culture, like that's not going to work. That's not how we build our program. That's why we don't take all these like bag chasers. That's why we didn't go after Omar Ballo last year, even though it was probably a good fit basketball wise.
That's why we get low level transfers and hopefully they develop.
And this is not an insult to you guys in the fan base. This is probably a compliment in today's culture, but like you guys, the fan base of Michigan State handles the portal so poorly. Like with
so
losing
bad.
players,
our fan base
you guys
sucks.
Losing players, but it's also because of
years.
the head coach though, and it's a nice thing. It's like you don't want to be in this mess, but when someone does leave, I feel like you guys feel it 20 times more than other fan bases who have become numb.
I tried to take a step back today because I was like, we haven't really had someone transfer that we cared about in basketball. Like,
no,
like it's never.
You were like, good luck, Pierre. Like, have fun.
Like,
Foster Lawyer transferred Alex.
Well, that's to you.
Like I said,
but like,
we've had no basketball players transfer out. Where you're like, shit.
Mean.
Football, yes.
Football, yeah. Yes. Keon left. That sucked. But
PT,
yeah, Simeon Barrow,
for Evan.
Derek
Evan's scarred by the portal.
I am. Cuts me up deep.
Whatever, but like no basketball players, and then you look back at like, if you just look at all other programs in the country, like even the top tier programs, they're losing guys every single season.
Purdue lost Mason Gillis, who was their glue guy last year.
Yeah, he's on.
Like, that was stunning to me. He makes good business decisions. He's the opposite of Aiden Holloway. Get off of Purdue, go play at Duke.
Yeah. I don't know. I think the part that sucks is though that these guys are going to leave, like Booker, Holloman, Normans, whatever. Like, let's just be real. We don't really care. But they're going to leave, and then they're going to go to schools that aren't relevant. They're not going to be on relevant
That's my
teams.
biggest
That's
issue.
the part that sucks. It's like you're just going to leave, get $1 billion like AJ Hogarth, play at Vanderbilt, lose as a 10 seed, or not make the tournament, and then no one's ever going to hear about you ever again. Like, I don't know why you would want to end your career like that when you could come back to a top 10 team and like see what could happen. Just crazy.
Even onto that, and this is a sad point that I actually thought about. Someone made the point. I forget who it was, but they said like it's so sad to think about like how connected us regular folk feel to our college. I mean, we go crazy for the sports.
Yeah.
Like if you transfer a bunch, like when you're an alum, where do you go back to? Like where do you claim like you're not? Is Trey Holloman coming back to homecoming or like dog weekend? I don't know.
He did spend 3 years here.
Yes.
So like, yes, I do think he'll still get to come back to like the Spartan Dog
He never had a
weekend.
senior night. He kissed the court, but we never gave him a jersey as the silver gift.
It's kind of like if you just leave for the NBA early, like we like let those guys come back. It's just weird in the sense that you're going to transfer for $1 billion for. It's one thing to go to Duke or North Carolina or Kansas and you transfer to some like sweet program and you win a national championship and all that. But Arizona State to play basketball?
And also, this could be, to my point, might be a bad person to use because he's very polarizing. But even Hunter Dickinson, if he, as annoying as he was, if he stayed 4 years at Michigan, he could come back and people would be like, "Oh, thank you for your freshman year when we almost made the Final Four." Nobody wants him back in Ann Arbor for like alumni events, and Kansas doesn't want his ass. So like he just has no college that like wants him.
Yeah,
and I feel like that's a scary part of the portal were like Hogard, not coming back to state, not going to Vanderbilt. You just kind of go into the abyss. You're just a hooper that played a mercenary.
It's a problem with society, like we talked about, because now you don't get to play and you don't get everything you want handed to you in your first season. You just go hit the transfer portal and try to do it somewhere else. And then it doesn't work, and then you transfer again, and then you transfer again and again. And now you have kids that have transferred 5 times. They don't have a degree. They haven't played any high-level basketball. They're not getting drafted. Their life is over, ruined, and it's all dog shit. And it's like, well, it's because you never learned how to work hard and like make something of yourself. And that's the shitty society we have. That's currently 2025.
We'll definitely look back on this, I think, in 4 years and be like, that was crazy. We lived through that. And like they let it get that crazy. I think this is like the peak of
it's gotta be
there'll be like 2-year contracts. It's just crazy that everyone's on a 1-year deal. Like pro sports do not exist like that. Not everyone's on a 1-year deal. Everyone went like imagine the NFL. Everyone went into the pot again after each year. It'd be chaos. You wouldn't have a league.
That is what it is. It's crazy.
Everyone like Trey Holloman was on a 1-year deal. It was like you back or not this year. We'll see.
I mean, it's asinine, and to anybody to think it's going to be sustainable is out of their mind.
No.
Why do you think Jay Wright and Tony Bennett just quit their jobs?
Jay Wright. He looks so relaxed on TV. Jay Wright. He looks great.
Yeah.
Well, we said today, if Colin Carr entered the portal today also, I'd be like, Tom should retire. He should leave and walk out. I don't blame the guy.
Oh. Quickly, because we got to get to Michigan still, but Booker, besides a Josie, he's going to be a Butler Bulldog. I think his market might be too big for us, but we really could use a kid like that.
He's probably going to get money from Indiana.
He'll probably get a lot. He could crack like you should make more than probably Holloman, even though he's done less on the court.
On their roster right now.
If he goes to ND over us, I will throw up because we're a better program than Notre Dame.
The problem is though, like he's not very good.
But for you, that's what you are spoiled. For me, he's a unicorn.
Yes, Thad would let him play because he could score, but like
you
on
saw
defense,
Bowden Capkeys, ponytail guy.
Bad.
You saw ponytail guy play for us.
Like, I just don't think Booker's like intellectually there for basketball. Like he's a smart kid, but I don't think he has like a basketball instinct in him whatsoever.
And obviously, this one doesn't hurt as much as Holloman.
No,
but if we did do big picture, this one has to hurt and also leave you some scars for future like top 15 recruits, right? Because this was like the class. This is the headliner of that top 5 class you guys had. You're like Xavier Booker is going to be a dog. So that's another one where you like throw your guards up next time. You're like, well, will it be Xavier Booker or will it be someone else? You know, Jace Richardson. That's a tough one. Looking back,
Colin Carr's full circle. That class, him and Jeremy Fears.
Now, but it's just one of those crazy ones where you're like, we got a guy, like sure thing, and you're like, oh, I guess we did not have a guy.
I mean, I think in any recruiting scenario, there's going to be hits and there's going to be misses. He was also rated way too high out of high school when
the hits and misses are going to also happen more frequently due to all this bullshit that we've been talking about for the last half hour.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Let's shift back to some ball talk. We'll do a tight 20 on Michigan. They only played one game. They also played Auburn. It made me think, Alex, to your little storyline that happened 19, 18, 19, 20 or whatever when we kept losing to the same team in the tournament.
UCLA.
Texas Tech, UCLA, and now Auburn again. So maybe we'll start a new streak, hopefully not, where we lose to the same team in the tournament. Philosophical one, lighthearted. Why doesn't Michigan wear Mays jerseys anymore? I don't understand.
Yeah, I thought it was weird too.
They did against Wisconsin. And it doesn't make any sense, but the dumb fan brain in me automatically feels 10% better about us winning a game in the Maze because I've seen those teams win so many big games with Beeline and even back to the Fab Five and Maze that we just go navy blue. And then I was thinking farther, this is the dumb thoughts on my drive home. There's not many good basketball uniforms, jerseys that are navy blue. Like all the good uniforms out there are not navy blue. UConn is fine, but like, I could just ditch that uniform forever that they wore against Auburn. But again, you would think Butler's blacks are way better than their navy blue. We should be just white and black. We don't need navy blue jerseys. So let's scrap those forever and just go white and maize because that is what looks good. That's the sex appeal of those uniforms. So that's my first gripe. It's crazy. Up 9 with 13 minutes left. I don't know. I really did. At that moment, I was like, holy shit, we're going the early date. Like, not that we actually were going to win because I know this team's going to be close, but I thought for sure we were going to be in a nail biter, hold on to your butts in the last 2 minutes. And boy, was I wrong. The avalanche hit. I kept telling Mercer the whole game, I said, they are going to go on a run. This crowd is crazy. they are going to have a moment. And I was like, we just need to make sure it doesn't get too far away. And then we got up 9. I was like, oh my God, this is the opposite of Texas A&M.
Would much rather lose the way we did than the way you did. Just want that on record.
Yeah,
just
I think that's fair.
So much like, holy I think I said to someone on the trip, the Michigan fan, I was like, holy shit, you guys are actually going to win this game.
Danny Wolf was playing out of his goddamn mind. I was like, this is the Danny Wolf. Also
but
turned it over.
I did text the Michigan State group chat, and I did say that Auburn would come back and win. And everyone's like, no, Alex, I don't think so this time.
This team
immediately avalanched after that, and I was feeling really good about my ball knowledge.
Now, it was different ways. To your point, yes, it hurt more, but I still had the same feeling that you guys probably did. We're like, you know what? They are the number 1 overall seed for a reason. They just made, especially Pettiford, when it was already kind of out of reach at 8 points. That I was just like, I really hit me too when it's like he comes off their bench and then Chaney Johnson comes off their bench. And I'm like,
comes off your bench.
We have Will Cheddar and LJ Kaysen, I guess. And it's like, Pettiford is miles ahead of him as a freshman, and Chaney Johnson's a grown man. So I was like, there's levels to this shit. And we just found that out. It's like similar to when you run into a football team that's better. But Roddy Gale didn't play great, but he had that and one. That and one he hit on the way to go up 9. Like, that was the moment. He made that like up and under. I was like, oh my God, this team is going to make the Elite 8. But yeah, I posted the clip because I couldn't believe it. It summarizes Auburn in a nutshell. It was about the under 12 in the second half. They are down 9. Auburn is. Bruce Pearl, Pettiford, and Broom are in a triangle screaming match on the floor. Triangle, like top of the key. They're trying to run some sort of fist. They're all yelling at each other. And Pettiford is like pointing at Broom, like, no, you're not supposed to be here. He's like, yes, I am. Pettiford goes into a behind the back rhythm dribble and just bangs a 3. And then they're down 6. They come out of a timeout. They bang another 3 off of an inbound set. It was a nice set. And it's like, boom, it's a 3-point game. This is going to be a nightmare. But disappointing part of it was that but it kind of goes to the point of Michigan, how much of a roller coaster they are. They out-rebounded and out-toughed Texas A&M, which was stunning. And then they just get out-toughed and out-rebounded by Auburn. So there's no consistency at all, really, to the team, which is not a surprise. They, like I said, they were a roller coaster all year. Chad Baker-Mazara, the little session he had where he drew 4 fouls in like 2 minutes was incredibly frustrating. There was one just, again, officiating did not cost the game, but just a horrendous call on under the basket inbounds play where him and Reuben Jones were both going for a live basketball, and they called a foul on Reuben Jones for existing next to him. And I'm just like, well, we haven't called that all game long. And Baker-Mazara is the most frustrating player to watch.
He sucks.
And I just was so mad. To my guy who's no longer on the team, Trey Donaldson, I think his too small gesture to Pettiford in the first half was probably regrettable. I could have done without that. I know that game meant a lot to him with the emotions of basically getting over-recruited to leave and then have Pettiford come in. But maybe don't too small gesture to the best guard, arguably, in the game in the first 3 minutes. That was tough. And then, that was really all I had from the Auburn game. I don't know if anything else stood out to you. You guys watched them play, too. It's just Auburn. Our game was way sloppier. That's a fact. They ran much less sets in our game. They actually ran plays in your game, which I think propelled them to the win.
They thought that they could just beat you doing whatever they wanted.
And then we did our stupid shit, too.
Yeah.
Crazy. It was a crazy game to watch.
They were definitely a little more dialed in when they played us, so you could tell that they. And I think Bruce Pearl even said after the game, he's like, we took this game a little more seriously then. Which is crazy that team just doesn't take games seriously, I guess.
They also don't respect any conference. They did the SEC chant after the game and post game, which drove me nuts. Them jumping up and down.
So lame, dude.
That is a culture difference. Could you imagine Tom Izzo ever? No. I know he said in his press conference he's fine with Michigan winning for the Big Ten at one point, but like, could you imagine him jumping up and down with his team after saying Big Ten? That's insane. And loser weird behavior.
Yeah.
Although
weird.
I am wearing for the Final Four teams, I am wearing my Southeastern Conference shirts. As I say that, it's crazy that they cheer that much.
I think the simple sum up is, Auburn was better than both of our teams. Both of us had chances probably if we play a little better to at least have a game at the end and win or lose, but at least have a chance. But Michigan did its same bit, roller coaster, double-digit lead to double-digit loss.
The team was
just a weird basketball team.
Yeah, normally it was to that point. It's a good way to sum it. It was Michigan like up by 10 against UCLA. UCLA storms back. We win a nail biter. But this is not UCLA. This is a much better team. And then they win by 10 after they grab the momentum and stuff. I just thought if we could drag it to that under 4, we had a shot because we just kept winning games. I said Trey Donaldson hits a game winner. We go to the Elite Eight. We play Michigan State. Cinema for the
would have been great for us because, then we probably would have won in the Elite Eight and we'd be in the Final Four. But
probably.
Still, I didn't want Michigan to win. Even when we got to that point, I still didn't want Michigan to win.
Alex, how many times during the Auburn? Sorry, Graham, for cutting you off.
No, you're
how many
good.
times during the Auburn game did you sit there and just wish it was like, God damn, I wish this was Michigan?
Yeah, I was like, I'm an idiot. I should have wanted that.
Oh yeah, it was said multiple times in my viewing
when I
party.
watched Cardwell discard one of our bodies and get a board, I'm like, Jesus Christ, what did I want this for?
Danny Wolf's not doing that to our players.
Like, we could have just owned the glass for 40 minutes, ran, played a normal style basketball game, probably walk out with a 10-point win.
Win like 65-55 after we just put them in a coffin.
No, I wanted to just lose to the number 1 overall seed. That's what I chose. And
maybe
I won't
lesson learned for next time. Yeah. Season recap. I mean, for this team, amazing turnaround overall from last year. 8-24 last year, 27-10 this year. Get a banner for the Big Ten tournament. Make a Sweet 16. I think I assume Dusty will be here a while, especially after we made it through the Indiana allegations. I think you're going to remember, I think, his foundational team. I still remember those early Beeline teams with Zach Novak bleeding, getting a gritty road run in East Lansing. Like, oh, wow, I think Michigan basketball has like a pulse. It's kind of like what this team felt like in ways. Not as nostalgic as that because we were like so bad before he got there. But proud of them. Well, I actually did get sad, similar to probably how you guys before he left, even, but like watching Trey Hallman break down the postgame. Danny Wolf was just crying ugly tears at the press conference. Like that made me
greatest
sad.
year of his life.
I know. He was like,
I was sad. I felt sad watching that.
Yeah, I was like, damn, he laid it all out there.
A guy that cared about winning.
He did. Yeah, he was never like a diva.
Those are kids I can respect.
And he was asked to do a lot, man. He came from Yale as like kind of a role. They had Pouladikis there. He was kind of a role player at Yale. He was asked to like be a primary facilitator, 7 foot in the Big Ten for 30 plus games.
We need you to have the ball.
Danny, we don't really have a great point guard, so we need you to dribble it out.
They did ask him to do a lot.
So, I mean, I'll always remember what he gave. Vlad went from like me, my lowest point, him proposing after the first state loss, to him just ripping off 20-10 double-doubles down the stretch. So I always remember him. Then obviously we'll get the trade, the transfer portal. I had a sweet stretch there of making big shots for 2 weeks in a row. So yeah, I guess transfer portal now, a little bit more action both ways. We had
talk about a different kind of roster construction. Is Michigan just going to be a rebuild portal team every year? Is that the plan?
So I think probably
you guys are going to live like either be great or shitty. Like
I think
it's a crazy method.
I think it's going to be like this until we can get more of a foothold in recruiting. I think this speaks to how bare our guy Juwan left the cupboard. I just don't think there was a ton left. So when you bring everyone in, he did go out and get solid recruits in year one. I think Trey McKinney was kind of a layup based on his connections, or his dad wanted him to go there. He got an international kid, Oscar Goodman, who reclassed, so he'll be there. And then Winters Grady, I think, is like a white shooter from some academy. But like he's starting to build the pipeline, like the seeds are there. But I think in the interim, you just got to hit the portal hard and try to construct a team each year, because until you build it up.
Construction so far, although you got a good player today.
Yeah, did. So to set the stage for that out, we'll start Jace Howard gone. I guess he's still going to try to play hoops. Good for him. Justin Pippen left before the Sweet 16 started. I thought that was kind of weird, the timing of it.
Move. Holy shit.
It's just a weird kind of Bo Prabula vibes, but I don't know.
It's like, why, dude? Like, I don't know. This is how I know just no kid cares about winning. You leave before the Sweet 16 is such a stupid, crazy move. I couldn't believe it. Partially on the NCAA for having the portal open when it's open, but still crazy.
Can I say one point? I do overall agree the timing's horrible, but I did see one time in my life I saw a coach, Bruce Pearl, give a counter argument to why it opens when it does. He played the perspective of like, if you're a kid whose team did not make the NCAA tournament, are you supposed to put your life on hold for like a month of like where you're going to go next year?
Yeah, that's fair.
Which I guess you could. right? Like,
well, you
what else
could
are
just
you
stick
doing?
it out at your school and, like, be better and, like, try to
Yeah, to your
win.
point.
And
it was nice
like,
to at least hear that perspective.
If you have a reason to move, like, someone's dying, you have to go back to your home or, like, whatever, something like that. Fine. There are reasons to transfer that are valid, but transferring because you're a soft-ass baby loser, well, that's a different story.
Alex, you're locked into that job the rest of your life, just FYI.
You can never leave.
You could never leave that job.
Oh, I can't leave my job now?
Yeah.
That's probably fair. But I've worked hard, I'm working my way up.
He punched the clock.
Putting my time in.
Justin Pippen, Sam Walters left. I had hopes for this kid when he transferred from Alabama.
Apparently his back was like destroyed. Like he may never be able to play like legit.
He wasn't with the team down the stretch after he got injured. Like he just
tried to ride on the bus from Michigan to Michigan State, and apparently it was so bad the bus had to stop like 7 times.
You know everything. God, look at you, Insider Bert. Yeah, I don't. I do have
break
concern.
his back.
I don't know. In a game.
I don't know.
Did he get hurt in a game?
Apparently, it's going to take like significant rehab
a little bit
to get him.
He was a good shooter. He was our streaky off the bench shooter until like midway through Big Ten play. Season got shut down, so he left. I wish him the best. I have no ill will. And then
that's a kid that I can understand. He probably got told to leave.
Yeah,
because he's injured.
And then another guy who kind of got told to leave, Trey Donaldson, leaves today after the Elliot Cadeau in news.
Weird.
Is he the one that made the layup against Maryland?
Yeah, Trey. Yeah.
The full court-to-court layup?
Yep. Yeah.
Michigan just got rid of Trey Donaldson for like a different version of Trey Donaldson?
100%.
A worse shooter, but better assister?
Yeah. And this is when I guess we start getting into like...
Why?
You start getting into probably Dusty's mind of how he wants the team to look. No, so the Trey Donaldson stuff...
Do you think Dusty was like, I don't need you, Trey, and bye-bye? Or do you think Trey was like, I'm better than Michigan, I need to go somewhere else? Which one do you think it would be?
The first.
You think Dusty really just is like...
I don't think it was that harsh. I do think Dusty's kind of a killer. I think he like doesn't really have that many emotions. I think I learned that about him throughout the year. Especially how he handled the MSU stuff. I think he's like... he's still figuring out how to talk shit because his team's not good enough yet, but I think he's a psycho.
Does he have experience with like the transfer portal and people coming and going with being at a below mid-major team?
Yeah, he knows what it's like to get his guys poached.
I mean, he's kind of used to it, to be honest.
It just seems so strange. Like, why not just keep the guy that is, been with the program now for a year, someone you can build with and like figure it out, versus a guy that's like maybe a little more talented, but ultimately like nothing's going to change that much. Unless
it definitely could backfire. My glass half full would be, I think this is probably how it went in terms of what you were thinking, Evan. I think because you have Golden and Danny Wolf are gone. I'm not holding out hope that Danny Wolf is staying for any reason. I think he's tested in the NBA. I think he's gone. And like we talked about, Danny Wolf was asked to be basically the facilitator on this team, which kind of tells you that Trey Donaldson really couldn't. He's not really a facilitating guard.
No,
he's like a catch and shoot shooter. That's what Cadeau does. Cadeau, not really a good shooter. I think he got up to 34%, but he was like 18% his freshman year. So he's like
he was so bad
to make a jump.
The round of 32 game, we sat at the free throw line.
Yeah, he was really bad. He got a little bit better. I was watching his transfer portal tape. He's good at like left and right kind of wing threes.
He's a good point guard. He fits like Michigan State style of point guard of someone who cannot score very well.
He's kind of like a miniature, lighter version of Jeremy Fears. Like they just kind of run around 100 miles an hour. I think Cadeau turns it over a lot more, but I'm also interested to see if he plays in a more disciplined system than North Carolina basketball under Hubert Davis. I think there's not a ton of strict coaching and sets over there. I think you just kind of run around with talent. So that does intrigue me. And I think it was Dusty's like, Danny Wolf's leaving. And I asked him to basically be our facilitator. So I need a facilitator. I need someone that can set people up. And then I'm guessing he went to Trey and was like, hey, if you're comfortable being guard number 2 and like competing for that with LJ Kaysen, you can stay. But like, I'm bringing this kid in because I need him to facilitate. And I think Trey was like, fair. And then he's like, I'm going to go. Because Trey could definitely be a starting guard for 30 minutes on like a Power 5 team that's like middle to below of their conference, I think.
Him and Trey could team up and start at the 1 and 2 at Arizona State.
It'd be kind of nasty. It'd be nice.
Sure.
I don't know who's facilitating amazingly on that. They're kind of both kind of shoot guys, but I don't know. I like Trey, but we also have to be real. Without his last 2 weeks of good play,
very well. Yeah, I was gonna say he shot very well down the stretch. Big Ten tournament and on.
But if you go back to after the Illinois game and after the State game at State, we were like, Michigan's guards are terrible. That was what we said. Michigan guards are killing them. And then he flipped a switch and played good. So I think Dusty probably was already like writing that check at the end of conference play. He's like, you know what? It made it harder. It makes it look worse because he kind of won a lot of people over. But he was like, I'm bringing this kid in. And
maybe he was in the transfer portal and he had to put shit on tape to try to get recruited.
I guess a month ago, this news comes out and no one cares that Trey Donaldson's leaving.
I would agree with that.
And now it's like, well, losing like the guy that won you like 4 games in March. But no.
It's just weird because like you bring in a transfer and another one leaves and like your team doesn't get better really. On paper, you're not better as of right now.
Until you see the pieces. You got to see the whole puzzle.
I do think it could work better having an actual point guard, but not Danny Wolf.
It just scares me, though. Like, I've lived this with Butler basketball. The one point guard we had, Aaron's, I'm blanking out his last name, which is embarrassing. I can't think of his name. But he couldn't shoot.
Thompson.
Aaron Thompson. Yes, thank you, Alex. Great pull.
I know more about Butler ball than you do.
That to the bone, Alex.
I've had so many names. Yeah, that was a great pull. He couldn't shoot. And it always scares me to have a guard. Like, we just watched, look at all the guards in the finals. And again, Michigan's not a 1 seed or aspiring to be necessarily next year. Like, that's not my expectation. But Walter Clayton can shoot the lights out of the ball. Con Knipple can shoot. Tyrese Proctor's a weapon. If you go down the line, who am I blanking on? LJ Cryer, a weapon from shooting. And
Sharp
everyone can,
Houston.
All of Auburn's guards can shoot. Sharp, Uzan can all shoot threes. So I can't have a guy that everyone's going under him and everyone's sagging off because that just automatically hurts. Because then we get to the guy that they got from Illinois who I love, Morez Johnson. I think he's going to be sweet for us. He also doesn't shoot. So you're starting both of them. That's already 2 players out of 5 that cannot shoot at all from deep. And that's a problem. You have to have 3 snipers around them if that's how you're going to play basketball. So that's an interesting roster construction. I imagine it's a headache. I don't really know what to think. But it's exciting to get some guys, I guess.
Well, I just saw a great tweet from some shitty Michigan State account because some West Virginia freshman just committed to North Carolina that says Izzo's kicking his feet again or like sitting on his hands and not doing anything. It's like, holy dude.
Izzo doesn't even know how many people he's allowed to get. We also have recruits coming in.
We don't know if our best player's returning yet. Like, holy shit. No wonder Izzo hasn't offered anything yet because we just lost in the Elite Eight 2 days ago. So, at least your fan base gets this instant gratification they're seeking with 2 commits already. So you guys are
the Illinois kid is I'm because we are not a super tough team. We're not.
No, he was a Michigan State fan. I wanted him for our team.
He looks like a Spartan. He looks like Shawn Brown. He looks like Cone Car with less bounce, much less bounce. But he plays that like he will go cram alley-oops.
He played really well against us when we played at Illinois.
He had like 6 rebounds and he plays a game and plays like 17 minutes a game, like just instant grab boards. I think Cadeau and him, that's a good fit with like who you want to throw lobs to. So I get that vision. I just need to see how the pieces fit around everybody because we like. If you can't play Roddy Gale. You guys
would have got Caleb Love.
Dude.
I forgot about that.
People give Juwan a hard time. Juwan had Caleb Love lined up and Terrence Shannon Jr. Both of them to play on the same team with Dickinson. And that team probably would have crashed out in a crazy way. But like they were all coming to Michigan talent. Without admissions. The Texas Tech coach screwed over Terrence Shannon and said he can't play there. I still hate that guy. He's on Ole Miss's bench. Mark Adams is an assistant for Chris Beard. I was mother effing him in your guys' game. It's like, that's a scumbag. Wouldn't let Terrence Shannon Jr. transfer.
Do you imagine?
Grant, every time the bench is shown, he's just pointing the finger.
I was like, TSJ should have been a Wolverine.
3 All-American players in your starting lineup.
You want credit. Insane. He knew how to get high-level guys. Just couldn't get them through admissions. But somehow Dusty has figured that out in 1 year. How to get people through.
Tucker, got some guys that all ended up somewhere else in the NFL. Whatever.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of excited, but also petrified because I don't know who's going to shoot the ball from deep. But maybe we'll play like you guys and just rough and tumble.
Jeremy Fears, Jeremiah Fears, Jace Richardson, Colin Carr, Jackson Kohler. That's our starting 5.
So for Jace Quick, I know you guys are probably realistically thinking he's gone. I think the stories from the players
50-50.
saying Lotto, I think that makes me think that he's for sure gone. I don't know if he told the team already, but like I don't think you. But maybe that's what guys do.
Only like glimmer. I mean, yeah, I think that guys just kind of do that.
Just say like Lotto pick, but like come back. Like your
Lotto
pick,
right?
But I'm still here, so please come back. So
the only thing that made me think like maybe was that he was like, it's been my goal. Like there was an article on The Athletic about him and how he's a freak and how he used to like, when he was like a 7-year-old kid, he would like sit in his room with his mini hoop and pretend he was on the bench not getting into the game because he played like shit, and he would have to go out and then he'd get called in at the final moment to go in and like win a game to go to the Final Four. Some crazy thing like kids do that we probably did some similar shit. And then after when someone asked him about his decision after the loss, he's like, one of like the biggest goals of my entire life has been to get to a Final Four, and we lost in the Elite Eight. So I was like, oh, now he knows how close it is. Like his dad stayed for 2 years. The NBA is not going anywhere. He's gonna get that Lotto pick contract probably. We'll probably pay him $1 billion to come back if he wants to. Like, could see it happening. I would say
and
it's
he's
50-50.
like, I get to play with the Fears brothers once in a lifetime.
I would say it's a true 50-50 scenario because we even had Jaren Jackson. We had Jaren Jackson try to come back, and he was the third pick in the draft.
Jaren Jackson tried to come back, and Tom Izzo told him, get the F out of here.
Bridges was a top 5 pick, and he came back.
I don't know.
Gary Harris came back, too.
Gary Harris
stunned.
came back
and
for a
obviously,
second
I would be sad. I'd be petty sad. I will say this. It was nice to have Michigan State back to that level of like half. Kind of like I don't mind like when you guys win for my friends and especially betting on, but then there's part of me that's like, ooh, do I want them to go farther than Michigan? Like I just love having that conflict back in my head again. It was nice. Felt good.
I think he comes back. If I had to say right now, I think he comes back.
Please.
And if you got Jeremiah, you'd be title favorites.
Which is never great for us. Never works out well when we are, but this team's different.
That would probably work.
Yeah, it would work.
The only problem that would be there's only one ball between Jeremiah and Jace. And Jeremy has to give it to him. Jace starts to hate Jeremy because he gives it to his brother.
Passes it to Jeremiah too much.
Jeremy would have 12 assists a game.
Yeah.
We'd have 2 people that could like score the basketball at the same time. Oh, we had Jaden Akins, he's still a good player.
Hard to get out of the portal is just pure snipers. That's what I've realized. They don't come around on trees, and no one lets them go. If they have a guy who can fill it up like 39% from 3, it's impossible.
We found our 40% 3-point shooter, Frankie Fiddler, and he shot 16% this year.
Yeah, and they never deliver when you think. Like, you're just like, oh, like Roddy Gale, he's going to shoot okay. No,
Frankie did provide us things, so like I don't want to dump on him, but he was
just
like
complete opposite
career 40% 3-point shooter, and he shot like literally like 15% this year. He hit one against Auburn though, big moment.
I was screaming every time he shot it from the perimeter.
No, or yes.
No, I was screaming, no, you can't make it. You can't make that shot.
All right, well.
I'm sure by tomorrow we'll know what our whole roster looks like.
This will be all outdated by then, probably, except for the people that have left and came in. Well, maybe that changes too. I don't know.
Turns out Jeremy Fears and Jeremiah Fears enter the portal. Both go to Michigan, and that's where we'll be at tomorrow.
Oh, man. All right. Cheers to 206.
April Fools.
Yeah, we ripped on that to start the show. Just absurd.